False alarm.
Oh, now we're live. And
Okay, is it working now?
yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, thank
False
God.
alarm. I'm so sorry for false alarm.
I was just about to say we were about to have a whole
There we go.
She was also pull the video down.
I had to like refresh it.
I'm kind of sad it didn't go on there now.
I know, right?
Okay.
That was perfect. Like
Retweet that.
You had for yourself?
that was perfect.
Yes.
Hey Kiki, thanks for waiting.
I'm trying to
I think that was my fault. I thought it was scheduled
to
and just gonna start. So I had to press the go live button. So I think that was on my end.
I'm trying to do it.
Hi everybody. Hey, Sarah.
What did you say, Brandon?
Are you still crying?
I'm like tickled pink right now.
I can't believe I thought that was on live. I said I can't believe.
Wow.
The universe works in mysterious ways. Like a tax levy saved the live.
Man, I should have bought snacks.
I got
tea.
Not snacks.
You can go grab snacks. We can wait around for like another minute or so.
Nah, I ain't got no snacks. That's the thing. I got no snacks. I just wait a minute. I got my fake cheese. Hold up.
Did she say fake cheese?
Fake cheese. She's trying to be vegan. So I think it's her vegan cheese.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, is it like the government cheese or like what are we talking here? Oh, government cheese is awesome.
I don't know.
Government cheese don't melt.
Exactly.
Thank you, Chloe. Somebody listens to me when I speak.
Oh, Jennifer, you didn't miss anything. You didn't miss a single thing.
No,
got here just in the nick of time.
No, Jennifer, you didn't miss anything.
Wait, there's somebody on there already?
Yeah, some people popped in. I think we can start now. We've got like 7 people watching. So, hello everybody. We're doing the discussion of escaping Exodus. Chloe is Thistle Verse. This is my channel, so you probably know me. But if everyone wants to do a quick round robin of saying who they are and what they like to read, then we can start the discussion.
Um,
You want to go, Erica?
Okay. Yes, Chloe. So I'm Erica. My channel is The Broken Spine, and I read basically everything but romance.
That's so sad.
Romance.
I know. We've had this discussion.
We have.
And I'll try. I'll try harder. Next.
Okay, live your life.
Live your life.
I mean, if you don't like it, I'll go if y'all want to.
Yeah.
I'm Harli. I'm from the Cerebral Hedonist, as you can see on my name tag. And I read everything, but my favorite thing to read is weird shit like Escaping Exodus. that was some weird shit. But that's actually my bag. I love reading weird stuff like that. And I'm glad to see authors of color, and especially Black authors, not afraid to do some weird shit. It's a good month.
Bree?
I can't believe you just called me out like that, but okay. Okay. My name is Bree. I have a channel, called Afrofuturism, and I'm trying to read more fantasy and science fiction in my life, but I think after Escaping Exodus, it's gonna be a no for me, dog.
Oh no!
To be fair,
I'm just kidding. But I do need to slow down. I do need to slow down. It's too much fantasy. I gotta stop hanging out with y'all. Bad influence on my life.
Like I said, to be fair, Exodus was extra weird.
No, it was good. It
was.
We'll get to it.
Weird.
I didn't think it was weird. So I wonder what that says about me.
I didn't think it was weird either, but
I didn't think it was weird, but I know a lot of people in the reviews thought it was kind of weird. And I'm just like, no, this is great.
I was eating it up.
In my review, I was talking about the big burly warrior women, the
the
bone workers,
freaking
and I
beast
was like,
workers.
And with their titties out, I was into it.
I was, dude. Adala was like, I wanted her to
Adala-
step on me, man. I was
Yeah,
like, yeah.
Adala and Lazy. Sasuke can kick rocks though.
Fuck.
Yeah, yeah.
Why
Yeah.
y'all on her?
Ashley, you haven't introduced yourself yet?
Oh, sorry.
No, but I have some feelings about that one. A whole lot of feelings about that one. I'm Ashley at Bookish Realm, and I read a little bit of everything. I do not read as much science fiction, though, so this was an interesting journey for me, and it had me get on Twitter asking for beginner science fiction recommendations because I enjoyed it that much.
You did.
Yes, yes.
This is like an interesting first sci-fi one. Like this isn't one I would think to recommend just because I feel like it's really involved.
Yeah,
Like,
me neither.
so much going
But it was
on.
so good.
It was
It
good.
was.
But yeah. I guess I don't know what people look for in like intros to sci-fi.
Nah, yeah.
But my first little breaking the ice question is what job do you think you'd have on the ship? Or like what type of like parent do you think you'd be, like the heart parent or the will parent? Like if you were stuck in the ship, where do you think you would be? I feel like it's
Bone
really
worker.
involved.
I don't know which beast worker I would be, but I would be a beast worker because I want them guns. I want them guns. I want to just be like, oh.
That's because the Enema Dolls is like dropping people, like punching them in the throat. I was like,
yes.
But it was the way that Adala did it though. That was like it was beast mode. I was like, wait, hold on.
I was like,
I was like,
bitch, Hulk out,
I had to rewind, and I was like, wait, did somebody get punched in the throat?
I mean, I know you're not supposed to be like turned on by weird shit, but Adala could get it if she punched some dude in the throat in front of me. I'm just saying. I'm just like, do it.
Okay.
I don't know what Sasuke was thinking choosing punk ass duck. I'm sorry. That dude was just, oh Lord.
I don't even know. I don't even see myself on the ship.
That's fair. That's fair.
I would probably be one. I don't know what I would be. I would want to be like a heart worker just because. But the reality is that's probably not where I would be.
But the death rate, though, of being a heart worker.
I know.
But we think about life in what, 1 minute and 46 seconds, something like
that.
Oh, yeah. We never did say what the book was about. Oops.
Oh, sorry. I thought we kind of assumed that people knew the general gist of it. But we could do an intro.
Harli, take it. Chloe, take it. One of y'all.
Okay, I can do it. Kiki, this is not a kid's book. This was in the adult section at my library.
Very adult.
Harli, it's your opening. There's references to.
Oh, what I do? Oh,
no.
What?
There's
Oh,
references to. References to rhymes with the pooch.
That was the best part of the book for me. I'm sorry. Tentacle cooch.
It's tentacle cooch. This is not for children.
This ain't it.
It was like there's something wet wrapped around my thigh. I don't. Adala almost lost her life right there. She's just like, no.
Oh no. Oh. Quick summary, I guess, is that this is set in the future. Earth is inhabitable. People are living on these giant space beasts called Zenzi. They're kind of like squiddy looking things. And it follows Sasuke and Adala. Sasuke is going to lead the ship soon. She's next in line. And Adala is her childhood friend, kind of sweetheart, who is a bone worker. And they're like star-crossed lovers. Like Sasuke's mom really does not like the idea of them being together. And oh, that's so interesting. It was in the YA section. That's interesting.
Tentacle coochie
I
should
mean,
not be in the Y
young.
section.
They were young though.
They're like
Sasuke, yeah,
yeah.
they were
Well,
young.
that's actually one of the problems with the book I'm gonna bring up later on when we talk about it.
Okay.
Wait,
Ashley left?
She went to restart her stuff.
Try and get back in.
Oh, okay.
But yes, Sasuke's mother is most of Sasuke's mothers are quite pissed about this little relationship, so they cut it off. They go their separate ways. They come back together. There's fights. There's romantic tension. There's romantic rivalries, sibling rivalries. I don't want to go through every single thing in the book.
Tension
And
was meh.
about to die. Sorry?
I said tension was meh.
Tension was meh. That's fair.
It could have been better.
Yeah.
It was.
I loved it. It's just that I got a lot of issues with it.
Yeah,
you can love it and have issues for sure.
And I think
I want to read the next one.
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it's essentially them surviving on a living ship, i.e., the space beast, and they're trying to help it to survive, but they realize that they're actually killing it. Well, they don't realize, they know they're killing it, but they're actually having to suffer the consequences of doing it.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty quick summary.
It is.
And Sasuke's next in line be the matriarch.
Yeah, I think it's a matris.
Yeah. And that girl is a dunce. Wow.
Which brings us to our first question. What did you think of Sasuke and Adala as our narrating characters?
I could have done without Sasuke.
I could have.
Really?
I could have done without that. I mean, I guess not completely, because not gonna lie, that narrative is extremely important to the story as a whole, but trying to speak without giving away too much, it's just, there was just some things that were not redeemable. And I think that ties into
wait, are we doing non-spoiler?
Are
we doing it non-spoiler?
Or
do people sorry.
Sorry.
I was going to stay away from them, but like I feel like at a certain point I do want to talk about the ending at that point.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like you're gonna have to
because I feel like for me the reason why I don't particularly feel Sasuke's narrative is a lot of what is done across the course of the book, and I don't want to it'll be easier to explain if I could once we get to a spoilery section. But I wasn't digging Sasuke as a character. I'm not gonna lie.
My problem with Sasuke is that, and this will be another thing that I'll discuss in the book, because I feel like Sasuke. Sorry about that. I feel like Sasuke had potential to be something else, and the thing is that I can tell that she was favored by the author.
You think?
I think so.
Mm.
Simply because things wrapped way too neatly for her as it went along. And it's like her problems were there and then suddenly easily solved, but they were always solved by someone else's hard work. Never really by her own.
I think she's going to pay for that in the second book.
I hope she does. She needs to. But she didn't.
I think when I saw it as the second book, I was like, I hope everything comes full circle.
I also didn't like the personality switch, because I got to page 150 exactly. And then everything onward, it felt like her personality switched. And it felt like suddenly she was trying to be this badass that gave no indication of at the beginning. There was no gradual slip into it. There was just suddenly, well, now I'm doing this, that sort of thing. That was the only thing that that was one of the things that bothered me, which is why I was like, how long, what, over the course of what time period does this take place? That was my issue. Cause I was like, it's like, how long does this go on? What?
I don't think it's very long at all.
Years?
I don't think the personality switch.
What is?
You didn't think the personality switch was because of a death in the family?
Yeah, it
yes.
It was, but the drasticness of it and suddenly her being more capable than she's proven to be so far bothers me.
Was she capable though? I felt like
No, I don't know. I don't think she was.
I mean, I don't think she was capable as in what we would consider capable. I mean, the fact that she was able to suddenly start yelling at people and commanding people when before she was just like, I don't want to deal with this bullshit. And I'm just like, I didn't like that because it felt earned.
I'm gonna kind of disagree on that, Harley, because I feel like, first of all, I didn't like Sesuke. I mean, I did not like her character. I thought she was like Ashley. I feel as though I don't know. Okay, let me gather myself. But I think that she always had a little bit of like pushback and wanted to be more, and that's why she was sneaking around with Adala and it just gave, and then what, sisterkin?
Yeah.
I think it was more of a fight mode at that point, knowing that sisterkin was trying to usurp her next in line. So I think it was more, I've got to let these people know that, yes, I am the next in line, and no, you can't mess with me. It wasn't that she was, because what is it, Matrix?
I think Lucas is
in theory, was supposed to be around a long time, but she kicked it like a whole lot earlier, not giving her an opportunity to like really come into her own, so to speak.
The spoiler happened.
I feel like that's fine. I don't know, spoiler, but I'm not a person who really cares about stuff like that, so I'm probably not the person to ask.
Yeah, but
for me, I don't want to talk about the ending without giving people a heads up. I feel like it's okay, but I don't know. Kiki said she's fine with spoilers. I don't know if anyone else is chimed in.
It would help a little bit if we could delve into some.
Yeah, I'm
fine with that. Do people
I'm fine with the name Theskis S. I can't pronounce. Anyway, I think with S, I didn't mind her character until the end, and it got white savory black version, and I was just like, no. That's pretty much what happened. I didn't like it.
I think my main issue with her is that, like, I feel like a lot of her wasn't as fleshed out as it should have been. I think that's what it is, because it felt like cramming her entire arc into like the last 150 instead of giving her a chance to grow from what she was the entirety of the first 150.
But
I think it was too short.
Yeah, she could have. Because of what happened, she had to jump into a role that she wasn't prepared for.
No, I know that. I'm not saying narratively. I'm saying like there was not enough written in for that. Like you just got and then.
Okay.
There wasn't like a stop and be like, build this character, show this relationship, show this particular thing happening, show her learning from her interactions with these people a little more than just tell you that this happened and then this happened and then. That was like kind of my issue with the last 150, because the first 150 pages were beautiful, fleshed out and everything. And I was like, okay, Sesuke's gonna get better. As soon as that Matrix dies, she's gonna get better, because the back of the book tells you she's gonna die. So it's like, it's gonna do it. It's gonna get better, and then all of a sudden it happens, and I'm just like, I still don't like you.
Do you think the reason why it wasn't fleshed out is the way that we as readers would want it to be is because there would be the second book?
I don't think the second book was initially planned, though. Based on
things, it didn't feel like it.
It feels like it was very contained, like standalone.
Yeah. Oh, quick thing. People say they're fine with spoilers, so.
Okay, cool.
I felt like, so I read this book along with A Long Way Down to a
Small Angry Planet.
I want to read that.
Do not read them together, guys. There's a lot of similarities. So I say that to say is that in that book, it's narrated by all the characters, and it's like it's broken down in a way that I really liked, and I would have liked that style in this book because like you got to understand each character and like their whole life and how they come to be and their journey of being on this ship together and like journaling, like journeying. Thank you, come through librarian. Journey to the planets that they were on, and I felt like this was like every man for himself kind of situation. I wish that we had I wish we had the narrative of some of the heart moms, the dads.
Yeah, I wanted Wade's point of view.
I wish we had a perspective from the man on the planet who on the other planet who was like very misogynistic.
Arguing with.
I don't want to hear anything more from Chubal. I was like, he gives me bad feelings. I don't trust him.
I wanted to hear from
Now you wanted women.
Well, wouldn't you if you were on an all-male planet? Or space beast?
I wanted to. Oh, sorry.
I don't trust them. Like, where did they all go? What happened to them?
That's what I wanted. That's the question I wanted to ask. When he was asking for women, I said, well, where did they go?
I was like, no one thinks this is suspicious.
Like, all of a sudden, there's just no women?
Like, you can't talk to them. They're hooked up to the beast. No one can talk to them. No one can see them. Just, they're fine. They're taken care of. They're here somewhere.
Are they in stasis? Somewhere?
Allegedly. We never see them.
They're in stasis in the heart chamber of that particular beast. The reason I would have wanted his point of view is because I wanted to see, because when you get there, yes, it seems like it would be rapey and stuff like that. But if you notice, Churbal is the only one that even bothered to try and touch a woman. The rest were like, they were kind of hands off when they had to escort Sesuke and them through the beast.
Mm-hmm.
So I wondered, what is the structure of their society in which the leader guy is free to just reach out and touch a woman in any sort of way? But these other dudes are like
suspect.
Everybody
daddy.
And on top of that, like,
what did you say, Bree?
Everybody daddy.
Yes, I was ready to say.
That's what I suspected, but I didn't want to assume because, like, you have the 6 queens that are left, and they've been living on the same beast for over 100 years. Supposedly, they've been keeping this beast alive with that. And of course, if you only use the women for breeding, of course they're gonna die out quick because repeated childbirth will kill you after a while. So, like, I wonder that the reason that they did is because they've been using the exact same few women to reproduce, but only keeping a certain amount of women and keeping all the men because they believe the men would be the better laborers and stuff and have more usefulness in society. I was interested in seeing their point of view to see what they thought of these other people, not to mention the fact that spoiler, the Matrix killed a whole nother. So there's mistrust there on all sides from other ships. So I wondered like what that point of view was, and I would have loved to see the point of view of the other one that was run by a woman who supposedly had promised them women and then reneged and left. So it's like
we stepped on that ship. They're like, it's cold. They're all smelly. I was like,
ain't no way.
But that's like, why was it so cold? Was it really to protect the bees? I mean,
I believe them when they said that.
Okay.
Yeah, because the way that Adali explained it is like instead of inducing a fever in the beast to make it think that it's fighting off sickness to keep everyone humanly warm, they let the beast maintain its natural temperature, so it lengthened the life of the beast because it wasn't constantly thinking it was sick and therefore stressing out its body.
That was that.
Yeah, Adali explained that one. It was just weird. But I also like that it showed that like neither side was doing the right thing by their beast. Just because one was living longer doesn't mean it wasn't suffering the same.
What? You thought the other beast was suffering? Because I thought like Chubal had like cracked the code pretty much.
No,
Except for how
because
those people were.
oh no, because yes, he'd been on the same one for 100 years, but you're still parasitically feeding off this beast, and eventually they're gonna have to jump when it dies. No matter what, you're shortening the life of the beast. It's just that depends on how, like, on the quality of life you're giving it as you're living on it. Like, no matter what, you're the
isn't
parasite.
that what we?
Yeah, that's what we're
Isn't
doing.
that what we are now?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that who
Yeah.
we are? Aren't we as human parasites? We're parasitic, which I thought was so interesting to show that. I mean, spoilery. I mean, they are, if I understood that right, they are some way, somehow descendants of humans, correct?
Yeah, I
In
thought they
some shape
definitely
or
were
form,
from us.
fashion. Yeah. So I
How did
think
that
for me, it was
happen
really
again?
interesting that.
Does anyone understand exactly how it happened? Because I remember there was the Great Greed, but it seems like they didn't really even know what happened. They just knew they had to leave. People were sabotaging the attempts to leave, but like
It was
kind
the
of-
great cruelty. That's what
It was a great
cruelty.
cruelty. Yeah, great
Yeah.
cruelty.
It made it
But
seem like some form of disease.
That's what
Yeah.
I was about to, which made me feel like, oh gosh, we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Oh,
I have
Yeah.
a theory about what I think that was. I think it was like you guys have seen like 28 Days Later or like heard of it, right?
no.
Oh, okay. Well, in that, the zombies catch this thing called like the quote unquote rage virus, in which it makes them act. It's not specifically make them into zombies. It makes them act on baser instincts of killing each other off and stuff like that, attacking other humans specifically. Nothing else, just other humans. So I imagine that the cruelty was like that. It might have been some form of biochemical response to us as parasites to make us kill ourselves off in the same way that the ship itself was killing itself to take them down with it. So I imagine that like that might have been what the cruelty bit might have alluded to, hence the name and the fact that they were self-sabotaging themselves to keep themselves from like surviving the virus and surviving Earth. So I imagine that's what it was like, what it was alluding to. Something
No,
like
Josh.
that.
I've heard, we've heard of 28 Days Later. We just haven't seen.
I haven't.
Oh, you haven't heard of it?
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's a good
Was
movie.
I don't do the scaries.
I don't do zombies.
Yeah.
That was the
Was
weird thing. I
that-
would never call them zombies. They just seem more like berserkers to me. Because they seemed like they weren't your run-of-the-mill zombies like Walking Dead zombies. They were just really angry, mindless people. just
Zombie.
animalistic.
Yeah.
There's a zombie.
It's a type of zombie, but when I think zombie, I think like shambling, dead, decomposition.
I feel like there was a point though that was trying to be, I don't know if it was supposed to be that glaring, that gosh Josh I don't know if it was supposed to be that glaring, that if it was supposed to be social commentary on us being parasites.
I thought it was. That's how I read it.
That's how I read it too, and I wasn't sure if I was like overreaching into reading it. Like, okay, you're trying to
I
say
don't
like
think
we
so.
also are not careful of our treatment of the planet that we're on, and there will be consequences if we continue to treat the planet in the ways that we are currently treating the planet. That's just how I read it, as that was kind of like a right in your face type of
I think
narrative.
While reading it, did any of you guys, this is the first book I ever read where I was like, oh yeah, everybody can die. That's cool with me.
Really? You didn't care about a single person?
I was not not rooting for a soul. You hear me? I was like,
What about a Gala?
You know who I started to root for? What's the? I can't even think of his name now. The one that had the visor that could smell.
Oh wait, the accountancy.
Yeah, but
I wanted him to
Yeah.
live.
and I was kind of sad when he got when he died. But that was the only one. I don't
What
know.
was that scene though? What was that scene?
Oh, that. Okay,
Wait.
so like
With the weird
Okay.
pointer thing.
Let me
That.
this is where I get weird, because like this scene, I was like, I get it. I see what you're doing there. That is really good. So like you have those in like a lot of sci-fi, especially sci-fi that leans more towards like existentialism and shit like that, where they come into contact with like eldritch beasts and shit like that in space. You always have them when they encounter a human, it becomes this freaking enlightening moment where they like have to see into the mind of whatever that creature is, go live through their memories, experience what they experience and stuff like that. And they always come out with this bigger brain thing. And I thought it was great that like she wasn't afraid to put that in there, because a lot of people shy away from it when they do these type of like sci-fi like stories and stuff like that. But I'm like, no, you went for it. Also finding out that the beast was actually very sentient. And well, not just sentient, it was sapient. It was intelligent thinking and plotting and planning and stuff like that. It thought like they did. And finding it out and giving them that experience and be like, okay, I'm going to give you one last chance, but I'm also taking your boo. You don't get that back. Which I was kind of upset about that, because I was like, it felt a little too out of nowhere, which again comes down to the not fleshing out enough issue there. Because like it would have been more impactful if I'd gotten a little bit more before that. But at the same time, I was like, oh, that beast is petty as fuck.
It could play the long game. It was going to stay on Earth for 1,000 years.
For real.
I was like, petty.
That's why I was like, yes, trick these mugs. Y'all ever heard that song?
But Bree, you didn't care about Adala? You didn't care about Wisey?
No.
Oh my goodness.
Why?
What did they ever do to you?
I just feel like the whole system of going and killing this beast, and I get it that they need to survive, but to me, life is life. I can't be like, oh, this beast life is more than this humanoid. Like, no, you guys are wrong for this. So it's like, take them out. They own your shit. Take them out.
Not you want everybody to die.
Well, here's the thing.
That's who you were rooting for.
I was rooting for them to die because I thought they wasn't going to make it. Because they literally... Okay, wait. Explain. They literally murdered this thing's child in cold blood with a machine.
Speak your truth, Harli.
On top of that, they literally kept going, carving out, knowing that the beast was suffering from it, knowing that they killed someone else just to get that beast, and gave up on their supposed plans to find an inhabitable place in place of choosing to make this entire species go extinct before they think of their own way of getting out of things. They deserve to die. Yep. They couldn't leave their parasitic nature behind before it got to this point. And I'm just like, y'all got it coming. You deserve it. That's why I was surprised they survived. I was like, oh, y'all are gonna live through this. Okay.
Dang.
I mean, I'm glad it turned into a more symbiotic relationship instead of a parasitic one, but at the same time, it shouldn't have took all that for them to realize maybe don't murder each home just because you think you can hop to another one.
But granted, how much did everybody really know about what was going on?
I mean, it seemed like the mattress knew a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that she knew a lot, but what about, I mean, we're talking about, I think about that just in structure of any type of society or government where, of course, your higher ups are going to know what's going on, but as you work your way down, that information is not trickling down, which is why I was like, it was messed up, but at the same time, I didn't want, well, Sesuke, that's a whole different story. But like Adala, like I wouldn't want her to pay for something that you don't have knowledge of. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I hear you. And I think somewhere in there, I think it even mentioned how Matrix knew that what they were doing was killing the beast, but didn't tell anybody. And I got the impression that Matrix actually knew how to make the beast last longer.
Yeah.
To live longer.
Yeah, like they should know. Because Cassina knew everything when they went on True Ball. She's like, we don't do that because of this. We don't do that because of this.
Right. So I had a feeling that this was just all Matrix, and that everybody was just following their orders, their marching orders, and didn't question because perhaps they were afraid of what she might do, because she did seem kind of ruthless.
I was
people got their thumbs for days.
That was crazy.
I was just
But that was a common
Well, it was
punishment.
crazy. I missed it.
It wasn't just her though. It was her. It was the entire line of people who had ran that since they started like roping beasts. And
Yeah.
like I would agree with the whole not trickling down of information, but I think the only people who didn't know anything were the kids.
Mm.
Simply because every adult knew the Grisettes were gonna die. Every adult knew how dangerous being in the heart chamber was. Every bone worker, every like beast worker knew what they were doing that was unhealthy and healthy for the beast, and knew that they had options. Just the same way that Adala knew that, like, oh, I know how they're keeping the fever off of this thing. They're choosing not to induce fever to make people comfortable. They knew what was and what wasn't killing the beast.
I think knowing and saying, oh, I'm going to choose not to do this because I know better is different than I'm doing this to keep my life.
Because I also think it's different when you consider positions of power too. Sure. Because sometimes when you know stuff doesn't always mean that you can, and which is why we see that kind of shift in them trying to change things. But you can see how difficult it is when you're not in a position of power to make effective change, which I think was, in my opinion, some of the point. Like, yes, I feel like people knew, but even if they knew, what could they do?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I agree that they were in a position where they couldn't do anything, but I will never say that any of them were ignorant of what they were doing. That's what I think.
Some people were ignorant to how bad the situation was.
Yeah.
I don't even think Sesuke's character to me was a perfect example of like being raised up in a society where they intentionally kept stuff from her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she didn't know how bad stuff was until what was her sister's name again, y'all? I always
Sister Kid.
Yeah, but her sister's name. She literally was calling her out like, you really are this stupid. Like, you really don't know anything. And it was amazing. And I think that's, for me, Sasuke is such a difficult character because it's like she didn't know a lot, but when she found out, it was like she needed to overcompensate for not knowing. And it drove me up the wall because it was like, even the scene between her and Adala with the what were the things called, y'all? The strips.
Yeah, the silk acid strips or something like that.
Yes, to me that was so like, you're overcompensating, and it's like you feel like you have to make these power moves at the expense of someone that you supposedly love, which is why to me I'm like, ain't no way in hell I would have given her that ending.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no way. No, child, not if every time I look at my back, it's a constant reminder of just.
Yeah, she would have catched these hands every time I looked at my
every
back.
time. I would have knocked the crap out of her every single time.
That was another thing that I didn't like, was how easily that was forgiven.
That's why Leise's death made me so angry. It felt like she had to go so this little happy ever after.
Exactly.
Leise holding it down. Leise is much kinder, supports the dream.
I did not
say I did feel something for the people who died.
Yeah, they tried to make it make sense. They tried to wrap it up too neat by killing off the people that would have gotten in the way of the love triangle. That was the one thing I really did not like, because you didn't make their deaths impactful. You just made it seem like, okay, they're out the way now. These two can be together.
Do you think that you were against it because it was non-polyamorous?
No.
No, because Sasuke should have had no parts.
Sasuke didn't have any part in it. That was the problem. No. Sasuke was not someone like, I would have actually agreed more if Wade had stayed alive and they ended up together. It would have made more sense to the narrative. But instead, you killed everyone around off and pushed them together. Like, it wasn't the fact that I expected, I want them all to be together and be happy. It was more the fact that, like, Sasuke was not a good match for Adala in any way, to be honest.
Action at all. I was so confused. She's like, you're a great leader.
Like, mind you, their friendship was awesome. I liked how they treated each other. And yes, they could have been romantic, but with the way Sesuke treats people, and something that did not change throughout the entire book was the way she treated people.
Selfish.
She's
Yeah.
selfish.
The thing
Yeah,
that really
yeah.
burned me up. That really burned me up.
Very.
So I was just like, no.
Yeah,
I was
that heartbeat should have just took her out. And
You never had a heart.
I was hoping that the baby was gonna kill her. Be like, oh, coochie cuckoo. Doom.
I was thinking that's what was gonna happen, or she was gonna come back really shifted and changed or something like that. When I saw the little baby, doing this thing, I was like, ooh, this baby is gonna use her to save its fucking life. No, the baby gets killed in cold blood, and I was just like, do you want me to like these people, or do you want me to hate them?
Yeah, it was at that moment I was like, they all can handle it. They all can just clock out. It's everybody's time. It's night for everyone.
Sasuke did not deserve a redeeming arc at the end of this book at all. Nothing. She did not deserve that happy ending. And everybody had to die for her to get a happy ending.
Happy ending. What
bothered me.
And that was one of my many issues with this book. I liked it.
Loved it, actually.
Well, let's talk about the issues. Let's hear them. Air them out.
I feel like Sasuke was one of those characters, one of those people that you really liked, and then they got no edges, and you were like, you know?
Is that bad that that's the perfect way to describe that? Like, nobody told you I had those? Nobody helped you? Nobody gave you a little bit of Miracle Grow or nothing? Like,
I'm sorry for interrupting
Miracle Grow, though?
Nobody talked to you about all of the situation you got? Oh, okay.
I just really feel like she had no edges and grew them and didn't know how to act.
Yeah. Like, grew them lickety split too. Like
instantaneously.
That was the thing. She just instantly was like, I'm in control. I have the power. I know what I'm doing.
That's like, at first I was like, oh, I'm so here for this Adala and Sesuke thing that's gonna go on. And then like the second or third Sesuke chapter, I was like, bitch, please.
It's like, you that bitch in real life that like
done.
I'm done.
Like, oh,
I'm done. Not that little adult hair. Y'all are running out, and it's only 9 o'clock. Y'all are running out. Y'all are running out.
I think this is sad because like I have so many complaints about the narrative structure of the book, but I have none about the world building or about my enjoyment of it. I fucking loved it. That was so lush. It's just the narrative itself was just like, fuck all y'all though.
Y'all don't say that about a dog. Like, I love the dollar.
I love the dollar.
I love the dollar. Oh my god.
Wait, another story, Erica?
No, I wasn't a fan of her either.
Who?
Of Adala?
What didn't you like about her?
I think it's the end. The end really like drastically changed the way I viewed people. Like I was okay.
Yeah, I did.
And then for you to be like, I'm here, baby boo, after she done whooped your ass.
Yeah.
Which could have been a great commentary on like the structure of power being like ingrained into her to that amount. Be like, well, I did it to save us. You understand I had to make these big moves that were so much bigger than you. And it's like, you know what, you're right.
I think she's gonna pay for it.
Yeah, I was hoping that Adala, there was gonna be some type of line where it's gonna be like, and she never forget those whacks on her back. And she
well, I hope you're right, because I was hoping. Oh God, what are they called? The bone workers doing their scars and stuff like that. That is a specific scar so that you don't forget what somebody did to you. So the fact that Sesuke put a scar on there for specifically that, where she deemed her reputation and like her power moves more important than standing beside Adala. I get it that it was to save her. I get that. But she didn't bother to publicly challenge her sick ass mom, who was obviously out the door anyway. Like, I knew that bitch was gonna die with the way she was
should have caught her too.
So it's like So it's like,
I mean, that's the thing. Matrix is still in power, and she's trying to, like you said, trying to save Adala, and that was like the only way that she knew how.
I don't know if she was trying to save her though, because that whole thing with Christina happened.
No. I mean, at the time, it was a selfish move for her to save her that way.
Oh, sorry, Adala, not Sasuke.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah. I think it was a selfish move to save her that way.
Yes.
Because I mean, like you said, Harley, her Matrix was on her way out. All she had to do was wait it out. And she chose to grow the biggest pair at the wrong time.
Yeah. Because it's like, I choose to traumatize this person that I care about, that I supposedly love, versus just making a decision to either make the sacrifice and let Adala and them die and take that shit to heart with me, or actually grow a pair and stand up against my mother in front of the Senate. Because already that you can outweight this bitch because she's sick.
Right.
You're sitting there like you can literally challenge her right there, stress her the fuck out while she's sick.
But I figured that would never happen because it was just not. That's why that character shift for Sasuke is so awkward, because she never had that quality to be like, well, guess what? It's my turn. We all know you're sick. You're about to die. So I'm going to call the shot. So when she switched over to all of a sudden trying to make these boss moves, it was like, that's not you. That's not you.
Like,
you don't make boss moves.
That's why I said I didn't like the 180 like that.
Yeah.
Like, that ain't even in your character to even make power moves like that.
No.
Your power move was impulsively kissing a dude and saying, "I'm declaring intention," like a dumbass.
Shit, God, she was a mess. She was a mess.
After that, I would have been done with when I was Adala. Like, you're not going to drag me to the sphincter and say we're just going to hide out the sphincter and you're going to blind the accountancy guard and it's all going to be good. Like, no.
No, Sasuke said, I got bloody shoes. We all
That's because it's like, which on another note,
she told Adama, you a worker. I got bloody shoes.
Now either you go come
go to bed, girl. Go to bed.
But that was brings to another with this matriarchal society, which I wish you would have clarified a bit more. But from what I gather, men ain't got no power. So I would have appreciated more of a spread. I wanted Wei's point of view. And the reason I wanted Wei's point of view is because I wanted to learn about the people who, like, quote unquote, cut and drawn themselves to either fit in with society, and then you have Wade who cut and draw himself to be male, to be a man. And the first thing out of Sasuke's mouth, which is rude as fuck, why would you even choose to do that? And it's just like, he didn't, you freak. But also, I wanted to know why would he decide to go ahead and go through with it in a society that's built like that? I would have loved to have seen his point of view as someone who was born female but mindset of a male, and decided to go ahead and go through with that in a society that literally would take all of his power away from him the moment that he did it.
It's just and the other part of that is one of Adala. No, not Adala. What's the other child?
Matrix's mom.
Yeah. One of Sasuke's moms was a male to female. Is that correct?
Yes. And she chose to be cut and drawn so that she's part of the family.
Right. And I think it would be interesting to see the dynamics, like why would they, I mean, we already know that one chose to be part of the family, but what other underlying reasons? And I don't know why that would make me feel a little more compassion for that whole structure, if that makes sense. Because right now, some of it really doesn't make sense. Because what if the family structure is what made up of 7 or something?
I think it's 9, right? It was like what,
9.
three dads and 6 moms, or 6 moms and 3 dads.
It's more. It's more moms than dads.
More mom. Okay, so 6 moms and 3 dads.
Yeah, because head mother, heart mother, will mother, and then 3 dads for each, or like 1 dad for each set. So like the matriarchal society, I think it was meant to be as toxic as it was and not make as much sense because it was based solely around accountancy, basically, like resources and stuff like that. The entire thing was born from that. It's just that I don't know how it got to the point where it's women were the more important, while on this other ship where accountancy was a thing, men became that thing. So I wondered what shifted differently on Sesuke's ship versus other ships that have different cultures and different ways of accountancy. Like, how did their accountancy lead to that?
Which I'm hoping, since there is now, well, I don't know if I'll check. Is it supposed to come out next year, or is it coming out December?
I thought it was coming out in February.
Is it coming out in February? Okay, because Goodreads has dates look messed up. I'm hoping that there is more explanation to how things truly happen, because like you said, Chloe, before, it seems like even they weren't too sure on how even their societies came about, even when they were trying to explain it to Sesuke about how things came about. So I'm hoping that there is some sense of clarification, because you're right. How do we end up with these individuals who literally everybody's coming from Earth? How do we evolve into you have one ship that seems very much dominated by a matriarchal society, and then you have what's the space's ship where it's like, where's the women type of, you know what I'm saying? Like there wasn't much explanation for how those things came about, but I still liked it because I found it very intriguing. And maybe that's just me being newer to science fiction, but I just found that just the whole concept of that even happening to be very interesting. But I would have loved for a more detailed explanation. I just personally feel like this book could have been longer in general.
Kind of could have. It needed it. Like, it needed to be longer because you have this. I feel like she did good fleshing out the ship itself with all like how they work on it and stuff like that. But she didn't flesh out the society, and she didn't flesh out the character.
Yeah,
that was what was like that. And with how she was doing like intrigue on top of the existentialism and the mysticism part of it, she needed those things in there. And but I feel like she thought she had to squish it down in that second half of the book so that it wouldn't be too long. But I think when you're making a book like that, it's okay for it to be long. If your world building is that fucking good, which it is, it's okay to make it longer. It's okay to make that longer. It's okay to make it that type of length, because you have this lush world that ecosystem is solely the society is solely dependent on the ecosystem that you have created. You gotta give me all the details.
Yeah, I felt like I didn't like the brief cameo of the other ship. I felt like that could have been fleshed out more too.
I feel like that should have been saved for another book. I think that ship's gonna come back into play.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't think they're done. Considering Sisterkin left, and didn't they like fire upon the ship or something?
Sisterkin went back and got everybody to attack that other ship.
Yeah. So I think they're gonna come. I think they're gonna come back.
Yeah.
So it's not over.
Which I need the baby to be resurrected, y'all. We gotta
bring me to the question of what people thought of Casina.
Sisterkin is a wasted character. God damn it!
How could you? I was rooting for her.
Oh my God, Brie. You just want to topple everything in that world.
She was wasted.
Casina
I was here for Sisterkin. I was here for
why?
I'm not saying she as a character was a waste. I'm saying the way she was utilized was wasted.
Yeah.
The reason being
she could have been more evil. She could have been more evil.
No, she could have been smarter.
Any book.
The reason being is because she herself got the knowledge. She had the tutors. She had the mind to read the book. She found her loopholes, but she had Sesuke, who basically kept pummeling on her and pummeling on her and pummeling on her. Every time she tried to get a leg up, from between saying, this is not your daughter, I'm your fucking daughter. Between this is like, you don't get a name, you're nobody, you're sisterkin, I'm not calling you that. Like, I get it. She decided, like, well, she has a name now, we have to call it that in some kind of weird way to make Sesuke seem like not a bad person. But no, she spent the entirety of this girl's life knowing that she had no name, talking down to her, quote unquote, tolerating her, showing that she hated this girl simply because she had a possible claim to the throne if she ever became anything.
I also felt like Sisterkin knew way more than Sesuke, and it didn't make sense to me how Sesuke beat her. I was like, no, I was here for her. I was here for her. She was one of my faves.
Matrix like preferred Sisterkin
True
over Sesuke, so that's how Sisterkin knew
so much,
right?
And that's
she was the underdog. Like Sesuke was verbally abusive. She ain't shit. So I was here for Sisterkin.
Which on top of that, like, it made sense to make her an adversary. It didn't make sense to make her comically evil. I'm gonna go do all these like snap decisions, like shove you into the ancestral wall and hope you die, and then go present myself. Or I'm gonna jump on the ship, lie, and attack these people, knowing that we don't have the resources with a dying beast to have these people fight back. That doesn't sound. Yeah,
you should have took
character. That was the problem. They didn't. It's like that doesn't sound like the character you made. The only decision she ever made that sounded like it was part of her character was going to that other family and saying, hey, I can get you this because my mom likes me. Give me a name. It would have made sense if her stuff was more subtle, like they basically set her up to be, versus this like comically evil, like, well, she went and lied and said this, or she went and lied and said that. They made her too obvious for someone who was set up to be as subtle as she was.
You guys ever read the book Ray Bears?
No.
I haven't read it.
I really wanted Sisterkin to have that lady vibe. That's why I liked her. And it didn't happen.
But Lady was very very, I don't want to say Sisterkin was stupid because she wasn't, but she was very childlike in a lot of manipulation that she attempted, like Harli was saying. The lady in Ray Bear definitely had boss level.
He had bloody shoes.
But I think too that the difference too, I mean, and we're not specifically talking about Ray Bear, but just looking at that too, I think Lady was definitely more of a morally gray character, and definitely more well developed, and it would have worked better if you had like a lady character, like a morally gray, but you feel for that character, even though they doing dirty stuff. You like, but I understand you being so dirty.
See, now y'all get why I like Sisterkin.
Out of Sisterkin. That's what I was thinking was going to happen, because that's the character she set her up to be, right up and including her doing the dirty things to get herself a name. And with the type of character that you wrote her to be up until this point, I was not expecting her to make a grab for the throne that freaking easily and that stupidly.
That should have happened in like the third book. If this is a series of,
I was expecting her to go for it after the Matrix died, which made me even more disappointed, because they basically took the teeth out of Sisterkin the moment that Doko said, "Oh yeah, by the way, we had her name annulled," and I'm just like,
I was so pissed when that happened.
Yeah, I was like,
Doka's just. I was kind of in and out about Doka, but I was disgusted when that happened. I don't know. I liked Casita too much though. Like you're like, she's evil, comically evil. I'm like, no, he's so sympathetic.
He makes me sad because he understands he understands Sasuke's like weird neurodivergent thing she has going on, which does not excuse her stupidity. You could be stupid and neurodivergent. But like I thought it was great that they built that friendship on him being able to understand how to teach her stuff without her drifting off. I don't know if that was like meant to be a symptom of like ADHD or something else. I'm not really sure.
I
But it
hadn't
was
thought about that, but that would make sense.
it was about the fact that she couldn't focus on text and she couldn't focus on lessons or anything until she had some type of object in front of her to help her picture it. So I was just like, oh, is she neurodivergent? That might be what it is. Which, fine. But she also was really dumb. Her neurodiversion didn't make her dumb. She was just dumb. So like the entire thing of him like teaching her, and I thought they were going to be good friends, you know, power moves, couple things, and then he turned into a kind of a bitch, and I was just like,
I didn't want to say it, but thank you for saying it. I thought he was a bitch.
you thought I wasn't gonna say it? He's a bitch.
I
He
didn't
was a
like
bitch. I didn't want to be the one to say it, but I was like, oh, I really like was feeling him a little bit. But it was just certain like the scene between Sasuke, what's his name? Starts with a W.
Oh wait.
Yes. When so what was Doka having sex with? Was it Play-Doh or
it was basically Jello. It was real nasty.
But listen, I was like,
I didn't like that scene at all.
I was like, that made me lose some respect for Sasuke, honestly. I was like, that was gross, and also like I get that you don't want to have sex with him, but also like that's like kind of low what you did.
It was
the point. You lost respect for Sasuke. It wasn't the ruining this man's career early in the book.
Ruining weight.
No, his career early in the book. It was that particular scene that made you lose respect for her.
I lost respect for a lot of people in that
time throughout the book. I
hated
also
that
like,
scene.
damn.
But you have to
like him, and then you did this to him.
But you have to admit that was a pretty fucking funny scene. It was like, I think he went for a belly button. I was just like,
but no, but how convenient was it that her and I'm gonna say his name because I want to call the man Wyatt, and his name is not Wyatt.
I keep
right? Wade? Yeah.
I thought it was Wade, but
how convenient was it for the two of them to fall asleep naked right there? That to me was like, I was like, and then here comes Doka waking up. I can't believe. I'm like, bruh, come on.
Like, to me, that was unnecessary.
He said, "This WAP for me." That's what he said.
No, I would have let her. I would have let her crumble and fall at that point. There was no redeeming. Like she not only embarrassed you, she had not only was she watching, she had someone else watching you screw what you thought was her, and it wasn't her. And then she falls asleep naked.
But
then
also,
she falls asleep naked with another man. No.
But that's also what makes Doka. That also was what makes him a punk bitch too, because he took it out on Wade instead of on her.
Yeah.
I was like, you a punk ass. You didn't even go to everybody and be like, let me tell you something about this little bitch here.
I was like, her ass right there.
I want to know my marriage. This is a bullshit. Instead, he's just like, I'm going to have your job and I'm going to know my marriage. But also, I want you to, baby.
Exactly. So y'all have no clothes. So y'all just fell asleep. Y'all were having a full-blown conversation. All of a sudden, everybody just falls asleep naked.
Well, they were drunk.
Yeah.
She was real drunk. Passing out.
And then, like,
she
she threw
a bucket and a mop on that floor.
Like she threw up on him when they were trying to kiss, and they both
that's not what it looks like. I mean, that's like the classic line.
Like y'all what it looks like. And just throw up on the floor. I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to think, but y'all had a wild ride while I was passed out after fucking this boat.
Listen, Harli, the man said, "Get the bucket and a mop." All right.
For what? Wet ass navel?
You threw up on me. Get that bucket and that mop.
I just can't believe that he's still. I guess that's my whole thing is that this book is so great for me. And like plot and world building, it's just was on point. But these characters, it's like I really just anybody that was in Sesuke's circle, I was like, I just can't deal with y'all. Like, it was just so much stupidity between too many people. Sesuke should have been dropped by everybody at multiple points in this book, and people still were. I didn't get it. I was like, she's literally abusive to everybody. Literally,
And every relationship for Sasuke was a toxic relationship.
it was. It was.
I do not understand Adala, and even to a certain extent, like weigh it. Like, how do you take my career, or how does my career get lost because of you, and then I'm gonna go help you? Like, you need to come and stand up. Like, you are the matrix, and Doka said, I'm gonna take your career, or you can't do this, or whoever it was that said it. And she didn't give a rat's ass
about anybody.
About anybody. And like, when I can't remember any of the characters' names, but the bone worker that
Lazy
make it back in to the ship, her like, where was the hand to the throat on that one?
When you
I feel like there were multiple moments of hand on throat, which is why I was like, throw the whole beast away, like everybody on it. Keep the beast, throw everybody away. I just felt so defeated in so many parts, so I just gave up on everybody.
It was just, oh, Sasuke. Why didn't Sasuke get left outside?
I'm just saying.
Her ass to death.
Hey, with great power comes great responsibility.
No, all it took was one mess up when she had to come back from the other beast to the one that she was on. All they had to do was just push her a little bit to the left. She'd have been out there in these streets. Or one heartbeat. Well, it took her out.
But that's the thing. She was dead out there. Like, she was
put her into the beasts, and had her absorbed.
Yeah, and the beast didn't raise their child right too. I felt like that was a missed opportunity when she was just chilling inside the beast. The beast should have said, "Look here, kid. She comes near you, stranger danger. Take her out." That's what the beast should have said. But no, the little baby want to be goo goo gaga, honey. A little human. Yeah, I'm like, no, you didn't raise her right.
To be fair, the baby is the one that showed her the planet.
Was it? I thought the baby was dead at that point.
Yeah, because that was when it died. Like, she was like, wait, we do have an option. It's like, we can do this. And then they realized the planet, and she was just like, and then they killed it in cold blood. And I was like, no, that baby was trying to kill you. And the mom basically, what I think is the beast mom probably gave that image to the kid and be like, okay, baby, you're going to die, but not before we take these bitches with us. That actually, the beast mom was like pretty much ride or die in this situation. Like, shit, she was the one with the red bottoms. Like, fuck.
Come on.
Now that I think about it. But as far as like Sasuke not dying on that scene, that kind of pissed me off because I was just like, bitch, you ought to be dead. Wait, you're really worried about these embryos? Okay. Well, Adala's worried about the embryos. I was like, hey, if you're going to be that stupid, die in space. And then all of a sudden, Lazy going out to... You was going
That was messed up. That should have never happened.
On the other ship. You
that
attacked her not because she was fighting Adala, but because she was cozying up to Adala. You was about to stomp a bitch into the ground, into like the Iker. But you suddenly go and do a self-sacrifice move for this bitch who is your competition, and you've shown that you do not give two fucks in a Pop-Tart about her.
Not the Pop-Tart.
Pop-Tart.
I'm just like, that is not the power move or sacrificial. Like,
which flavor? We talking strawberry?
We talking like
shut up.
Like the bland apple cinnamon with no icing on it, like the sugar-free Pop-Tart.
Dang,
oh,
the one you have to stand in line for rations for. I get you.
Exactly. It's like, let me tell you how little you mean to me. That was literally her entire character towards Sasuke. It's like, let me tell you how much I don't give a fuck about you.
Can we talk about the tentacle coot situation?
Listen, this girl was walking around with tentacles coming out her cooch, though. I mean, let's talk about that.
Okay, I hated that the author made her godlike. She's like, yes, I'm here to save him. I know what I am now.
I'm honestly surprised it didn't rip her in half because she wasn't like moving and stuff as they were going. I'm like, oh my god.
That's what I was saying. Like, wait, what just happened? And she just delivered like a beast.
The thing is like she didn't deliver a
WAP situation.
Whatever she did.
Delivered the egg of the beast.
Wait, did you just say she had a WAP situation?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's gonna be that slimy. Oh, it was whopping. Big W, baby. Big W.
I was like waiting on the book after a minute. I was like, oh my god, this bitch is about to get on my nerves. And then all of a sudden, like Adala was like, "You're wet." And I was like, "Yeah, that's what fucking happens when you're like bitten." It's like, "No, you're wet, and there's a tentacle wrapped around my thigh. We might need to talk." And I was just like, "Oh, we did that. We're going there. Okay, what happened? Did she now part beast? What are we doing here?" Then I found out she had an egg in there. I was like, "Oh, we're really doing this. Okay, let's go."
There was another thing. The beast could have took her out there when she went out there to give birth. The beast should have been like, "All right, and you're done now," and ended that.
I think what it was is like she said, it was like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you this one last chance. Take this fucking egg over there. You fuck it up."
Fred is tripping.
I mean, they went into the gills, right? Couldn't the beast have just held its breath for a little bit and left him out there?
There was so many
well, the way they showed it in
Big
the
Mac
No! Stop, Britt.
Stop.
Listen, I just think Adala should have been saying other stuff to her, but whatever.
I think Adala had a right to freak out about a tentacle wrapped around her thigh that was coming from between this bitch's leg. That was the appropriate response.
I think Adala should have done a whole lot other than before we got to the tentacle part. Like
poison ivy.
Yeah.
Night shanking.
Yeah. I mean, she was like transferred harshly from the heart to the bones. She was a bone worker, right? After that?
Yeah, she was a bone worker.
That wasn't because of Sasuke. That was because of her wanting to build a relationship with her sacrificial sister.
Yeah, I think that's all Adala's mom's doing. I don't think Sasuke or Mattress had anything to do with it.
Adala's mom demoted her, wanted her out of there because her mom was super abusive. Can we talk about that real quick? Like emotionally so?
There was so much abuse in this book.
God damn.
So much beating.
Yeah.
So much beating in this book.
There was a lot of abuse, emotional and physical and mental abuse. There was a lots of
manipulation. I was over it.
In that case, it does make sense that the characters acted the way they did because they don't know anything else. You have Adala chasing after the one person who treats them
like shit.
Good, comparatively to her crackhead mom, because her mom was crazy. Like, wouldn't praise her for anything, wouldn't give any positive reinforcement, just automatically, you suck. Don't talk to that girl over there. I don't give a fuck if she does look like your daddy, still sucks. And I'm just like, I'd probably go with Sasuke too if I had to listen to that shit all day.
But I don't know.
And then you had Lazette, who actually treated her like a real person and like a lover and stuff like that. But still,
you think she thought it was too good to be true?
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, she don't give a fuck about you. But then she went back to Sasuke, and I was like, oh, that the cycle of abuse continues. Ooh, you codependent bitch.
and that is the whole thing with that, and I don't want to say the whole thing with this book, but a lot of the relationships in this book are codependent, and so negatively so, and so there's so much trauma, and people don't even recognize it anymore, and it's just accepted, and I don't. With the next book, I don't know how Nicky Drayden is going to handle that, obviously, but there's so much trauma. I mean, when you look even at the Senate, who has such a minor role in here, there's even like the trauma behind that, like having, oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought.
It'd be like that, you know?
I know, right?
Sorry, who are you talking about?
They're talking about the relationships between.
Oh, the Grisettes. Sorry, yeah.
The relationship between everybody, including the Senate. Like, even hearing about how the Senate went, it even sounded abusive. It's like, oh, they're poisoning, but when they get in there, they're bitchy. And it's like, and then I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. And then how Doka went, pretended to be his mom or one of his moms. I was just like, this is, and then they didn't even catch it. So it was like, how do you not catch that this is not a member of Senate just because they just don't, it's like they don't care.
And because it's the idea of this matriarchy is mostly superficial.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to, which could be said about like any type of like hierarchy, patriarchy or matriarchy. It's all superficial and based on superficial things. Because at what point did they decide, oh, men are useless, we're not going to have them work on anything? When I'm just like, you know, men and women can have guns too. Like they can haul some bone and stuff out of there. But all right.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering what happened to the poor men, because we see like the wealthy men for the most part, or like the kind of well-to-do men, but it's like, what do the poor men do? I don't know. In our world, poor women like wash clothes and like took care of houses and stuff. Like, what do the poor men do in this world?
From what I noticed,
they're like basically invisible. Yeah. So, I mean, and who was it? The guy that Sesuke took the book to?
That's Adala's dad. Well, one of them.
Well, he's not a dad. He's
like an adopted dad.
Yeah,
he's like a play dad or
something like that. But something happened with him, so he didn't have like a support system. So basically, I guess you could say he was poor until Adala's family took him in, but he still had no rights.
It's because he committed adultery.
What'd you say?
He committed adultery. Like, he fucked somebody's like heart mother.
Okay, well,
he got it on. That was his crime.
well,
he got it on and liked it.
And he got
getting on with heart mothers is not a victimless crime. I'm just picturing movies about like piracy at the beginning of videos.
Damn, Chloe.
They really did make a big deal out of things. It didn't seem like they're that big a deal. In terms of these relationships, it's like, you're already coupled. Why do you care?
I was like, I thought I was going to be more like pleased by the way the society was set up until I got to how toxic it was. And then I was just like, you couldn't just, oh, okay. Wait, this dude slept with someone he was in love with and y'all got mad, so y'all stripped him of, well, what happened to her? Oh, she's living her life.
Well, that's what happens.
I'm just like,
that's like what happens in like
real life. Yeah.
You know, a man has an affair, the woman gets sullied, but the man can keep going. He keeps his position and all of that, whereas the woman, she falls from grace, so to speak. It's just a reverse in this society.
She's gonna have to go through and fill in some holes. Yeah. Because the history of the society is what is going to, I think, make things make more sense, because we have no idea why they're functioning the way that they're functioning, because we don't have that backstory.
Yeah.
So she's gonna have to fill that in.
I
Yeah.
remember
We
at the
know
beginning,
that they had kings at one point, but we don't know about the transition period. Like it was said, like really early on, they had like a
Yeah.
king, something or other, and then we didn't hear anything about the transition period or how the power change happened. But
No.
they kind of yada yada it with basically the men were doing terrible. They were pretty much like freaking culling the shit out of like the place, and then the women better though. Like cutting it down to 1 kid per 9 people, and then like punishing men for this one dude's bad decisions.
But was it, or was it already like that? And he just stepped out of line.
No, this came about during the matrilines from the way they said it. They said that the quote unquote lash counting, basically the accountability guys came about with the matrilines.
No. I thought you were saying that because of this guy's one bad decision, that's the way things are.
Oh no, I mean like the guy's one bad decision that the like men are like lower stats. That they said like that is what I was saying. But like as far as like the kids and stuff like that, that still wasn't from the patriline. That was still from a matriline thing, but it was just weird. Because I was like, okay, I get it. You want to limit how many children on board, but why are the men screwed so badly? And then I was like, yeah, it's like that on the reverse side for like women in a lot of places. But at the same time, I'm like, y'all are in this for survival. What accountability made it okay to like put men down here?
Yeah, I'm wondering if something happened when they're on the ship, like in terms of like there's so many more women in the group than the men.
Yeah.
If something happened with like inbreeding or genes or something where that was like the sex distribution or whatever they were getting, and then that's what made the thing grow into what it is. But I don't know.
I feel for all we know that like there could have been some giant like civil war inside the ship or something like that, and a lot of the men got killed, and they were like, "We're not doing this again."
I don't know. There are so many holes.
Yeah.
That like I don't know. Did this even come back up? What happened to Sisterkin?
No, I thought she was just imprisoned.
Yeah, she's just in prison off screen. They told you she's in prison. They didn't tell you how they got her there, how they captured her. It's just suddenly back on the ship, Lasik dies. Suddenly we got Sisterkin. Suddenly Adala knows that the ship is actually sapient. Suddenly we're doing this. It was a lot of and then.
The ending was rushed.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Adala's sister? That part just broke my heart.
Parton?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about. Did anyone feel uncomfortable at first when Adala was like talking for all of them?
Yeah.
And like it turned out that Parton was like a sex worker and stuff.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was like really walking a line where I was like, I didn't know how to feel about Parton and Adala for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really I actually, when I was listening to it on audio, I had to go back and re-listen to that because I didn't get at first that she was talking, like she was actually talking on her behalf, and that then there was that assumption that there was going to be a sexual transaction or that.
Wait, I thought she was signing. I thought she was signing.
She did, but at first there was no. From what I thought, that there was a communication barrier to the point that Adala was kind of making up what she thought her sister was saying. And then eventually they got to a point where they built some level of communication. But prior to that, there wasn't. And then it was that assumption that her sister was a sex worker, which I didn't really get per se. It was that beginning of that relationship was very, very confusing to me.
I think that's because the Grisettes are pretty much like treated that way because you saw how the bone workers treated them, and that's probably like one of the ways they have to survive is doing that kind of thing. So I'm not saying the assumption was okay, but I feel like that's something that was like normalized to consider for Adala. There was nothing okay about anything to do with the Grisettes. That was fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, word for that. That was actually when I was reading it, I was like, or listening, I was like, how did we get here? Like, how did she think like, oh yeah, you're gonna pay for this? Like, I didn't understand that part. I was confused.
Which comes back to that whole fleshing out thing, because I assumed it was a societal norm for them, considering how low on the ladder they were to where they weren't even allowed to talk.
Yeah.
It's just an assumption that that was the way something happened, and it was expected. Whenever you say, you owe me something when you're basically a waif, a bucket waif. That is such a
So weird.
Yeah, and when her mom was like, I am the way I am because of her or something, that one line that got me. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Vaguely.
It was like a line she said. I was like, oh man, that's some pain.
Because
It's a lot
like,
of trauma.
because I think like after the father died, finding out that thing that looks like him exists out there, and she can't even do anything about it, so she has to treat it like shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at that, and I'm just like, yeah, but why do you treat your daughter like shit? Because you're mad that that's as a thing. That's
Exactly. It didn't make sense to
you're
me.
still a dick. It's like just because you have an explanation doesn't make you less of a dick. you're
I
still
don't know. Like these, I don't know if it's a trope, but like I'm not really a fan of books that just have like a bunch of characters you just hate or love to hate. I just not a fan, and I felt that.
I don't know. I don't know what her intention was with some, but I feel like that all goes back to the weakest part of this book. I mean, I gave the book 4 stars, but that was really truly based on the action in the book and in the world building. I think that she really had a difficult time when it came to character development, because even looking at the relationship between Adala and her sister, you know, I get that being societal assumption, but that's a hell of an assumption. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, that just the assumption that they would have to be willing to endure whether they wanted to or not. And we don't know because there was no explanation that, you know, it was like, oh, you owe me a favor, and the first thing that is like, okay, well, I have to have sex with you because I owe you a favor. Like, without the explanation behind that, that comes off it's a very, very thin line, like Chloe said with that. That's a very fine line, to have that be an assumption in that declaration without there being any type of clear-cut explanation of how your society works fully. It was very much so surface level. So some of the things that I think that she was writing, it was almost as if she was assuming the reader should know, which is in itself a problem, because if this is our first book within the within let's say it's a series, we would have no knowledge of that. We would need that explanation. And someone did ask, I thought the favor was a restaurant. It was a restaurant, but her sister made the move as if she was supposed to have sex with her as a favor, without realizing that that's not what Adala meant. Was because Adala didn't have any intentions that way, but it was placed in the book as if whenever favors are asked of whenever favors are asked of them, that favor is the equivalent of a sex act. And without explaining that, that's it's jarring. To be quite frank, it's jarring and that's why I said I had to rewind that section, because I was like, okay, so I'm kind of understanding that they are the lowest of the low, but my goodness gracious, that they are supposed to be just willing to say, you know, to allow someone to essentially force themselves on them, because that's just the way that society works. But you just don't know. I don't know. It's that whole thing going on. I don't know. This book is kind of crazy though. It's good because it's
a
so
lot.
good.
I think
It's so good.
It
Was
could have
there
worked.
a speculative part of this book? Like, I'm trying to think of the genre.
It's not a space opera. I will tell you that this is not a space opera.
Okay. I thought it was space opera.
The reason I say this is because while space operas tend to have a lot of like fantastical elements, the fantastical elements of the story took a front seat to the intrigue. And usually in space operas, the fantastical element is just the setting for the intrigue.
Okay.
That's why it's a space opera. It's more about the people versus everything else. This feels like more, I would say, speculative, but at the same time, it feels like a fantasy that just happens to take place in space. So I'm not sure how to qualify it. Because, you know, spaceships, science, stuff like that. But I have a hard time with placing it in any category because it has more fantasy elements than it does sci-fi, but also it has those sci-fi elements, but it's not space opera like because the fantastical elements take a front seat instead of just being the setting. And another thing about the like what you were talking about, Ashley, is that with that, I feel like she left too much up to our ability to pay attention.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And even for me, someone who reads books front to back and like denotes on every contextual detail of it, for the longest time, that scene was weird to me until we got to the way the bone workers treated them, where they would cut on them or do sexual things to them and nobody would give a shit. Then I was like, oh, y'all just do that. Okay. But also, someone reading through that probably wouldn't catch that easily. They'd have to like go back. It would probably something that you would pick up on a second reading. Because even I was just kind of like, that's spooky. That's spooky. But the context should have been either before or like somewhere close after, not like chapters upon chapters later. That was my thing about that.
It's a lot of context that I think that she missed out on a great opportunities for a lot of context, which is why I know I sound like a broken record. But if this book would have been longer than the 300 odd pages that it was, you know, I think that it definitely could have delved. And because she's so good at it, that's what I think, like, I could not see myself giving this book 5 stars because at the end of the day, I can see her capability of world building and she's damn good at it. Because for me to come in and I mean, I really genuinely just have not read a lot of science fiction, but so me to come in as a newbie and be like, oh, okay, maybe I should be reading more science fiction. For me to come in and feel that way, you're doing something right. Something about this is good to the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm missing out on this genre. Clearly, I don't know what I've been doing. I've been drinking the wrong Kool-Aid. But it's like, I would have definitely enjoyed, and it's so crazy to leave a book like that and think that if you would have given me another 200-300 pages, I would have read it. If it was just about explaining this society and this world, because it's just so fascinating, but she missed some good opportunities to do so.
Like when a book like that, it needed to be at the very least 600 pages. And I know that seems like a big chunk, but at the very least it needed to be 600 pages.
I would have read it.
The storytelling is there. You can see it. The world is built. The characters are there. The society is set up. The storytelling is there. It's just there wasn't enough of it. It was like again, I keep saying after the 150 pages. After that 150 pages
without the end
outline. Yeah, like it was just the second half of the book was just a story outline. That's what it read like. And this happened, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. With nothing in between. It was just like it was like reading my plot notes basically when I write. That's what it felt like at the end of it, which wasn't something I particularly enjoyed until we got to Tentacle Couche. Then I was just like, all right, let's do it. I'm all in. Let's it's fine. This is great. I'm good. But I think
would you guys continue the series?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm gonna read that next one.
Oh yeah, I'm reading the next book. Loki will be Googling it right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm gonna head out, but you know,
like No, the thing is, it's like I enjoyed it. That's the point. That's what's making me pick up the next book. It's like I enjoyed this world and its concepts enough to see where this goes, and I enjoyed this book enough to be like, I want to see her improve.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's hard to do with me for an author because sometimes I'd be like, this book was all right, but it wasn't for me, and I'm not reading anything else. But with this, I'm just like, no, I love this world. So I'm going to see what you do with it later, and hopefully these issues here will be fixed in the next one.
I just wish that she had a little bit of that N.K. Jemisin juice of character development. Just a little bit of that juice. You know what I mean? Just it would have been chef kiss. I don't know. It confused me. It was a lot of pieces, and I was like, I mean, it was intricate and stuff.
I had like a thought about that. Oh, go ahead, Erica.
I just wanted her to flesh out. I feel like I like a good, evenly plot-driven and character-driven story.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like that happened. And there were just a lot of holes, a lot of plot holes, which we've already said that we need them to be figured out, fleshed out some more. And I'm just going to talk about Sesuke for a second. I think that when the second novel comes out, I'm curious to see how she handles Sesuke, and considering the fact that she turned over the running of the, for lack of a better word, kingdom, to Doke or Doka,
weird,
which was just
Dodo.
Like, oh yeah, you can have it. I never wanted it, and I'm just gonna be with Adala. Like, what the?
I was like, where they do that at?
I do not understand.
I was like,
I just can't believe Adala didn't poison her. Like,
yeah, I mean, you just abdicated and gave it to a dude, and now, because they were unseen, now he has the opportunity to take his group that he was secretly meeting with and turn this all around. So I'm just like, you know what? This is not going to work out. There are so many things that can't possibly work out. And Sesuke is the catalyst for everything. I'm just going to say the next book, everything is just going to go to hell in a handbasket.
I just feel like, can she be redeemable? Can she be redeemable?
But y'all, I just read the summary, and it looked like the next book is from Doka's perspective.
What?
Oh. I want to read from this punk ass though.
You done called them all types of bitches. You said his mama ain't shit and his daddy ain't shit.
But you know what? Let me just say this about Doka. I think that Doka was a sleeper character. I think he was just waiting for his opportunity.
Yeah.
And he was, and when Wyatt was like, "Ooh, Doka is this person or this or that or whatever," and these are the other suitors about the other suitors. Even though Wyatt and Doka said it wasn't a setup, I still kind of feel like it was. Because they were secretly meeting about how to get men to be recognized or to be seen. So now that I know that it's going to be from Doka's perspective, I feel like this whole thing is going to turn.
Well, they said in the book that like Wyatt didn't even agree to come until Sesuke chose him. Like he didn't even agree to start going to those meetings or anything until Sesuke chose him. But I think what it was is the fact that Wyatt knows everybody, and I think this is why I hate that he died. I felt like Wyatt was pulling strings in the position that he was, and they gave hints of that throughout the thing. The fact that he readily lied for $1, like I was expecting him to come out of nowhere. The fact that he lied for $1 to save her, and then basically made Sasuke see like, oh, you're not a bad guy, and then puts himself close to her and stuff. I was like, this doesn't feel like he has any emotional investment in her. It feels like he's doing something. But then he died, and I was just like, why are you doing this to me? Why are you giving me these intriguing character moves?
I really liked Wyatt. Maybe Wyatt's not dead in the next book.
I'm telling you, he was the thing that came out of her thing.
Okay, but if she does that, that would be amazing. If Wyatt comes back as a freaking half beast thing, I am here.
Listen, he came back as a whole beast.
And I want him to come back, and I want him to rescue Adala from that abusive ass relationship, and I want him to take his tentacle and sling Sasuke out into the void of space, into somebody's like fucking like event horizon until she's a spaghetti. That's what I want.
I ain't gonna lie, Ashley, tell us what you're googling, girl. Let us know.
I keep looking at it because I'm trying to. The way that the summary is written is like it feels like it's all about. It feels like it's all about Doka's experience in being the ruler and how he's almost created this perfect utopia.
Bullshit.
And I'm trying to, so it's like almost it seems like everything that happened in the first book, Doka then comes and rules and is super successful. They're on the brink of this utopia, and then another cataclysmic event happens, and they're forced to accept thousands of refugees. A culture clash erupts, revealing secrets from the past that could endanger their future. Now, see, that for me, that might be the kicker right there.
There we go.
I'll read it.
I'll read it. I'll read that shit.
I'll read it.
It does say he has fallen for the one woman he is forbidden to love, his wife Sasuke. But they have to work closely together to sway the other Zenzi worlds to stop their cycles of destruction.
So they ain't talk about nothing about Sister Ken?
That bitch
she may pop up again. I mean, I don't see a lot of these characters not being a part of this one, but I do feel like from the way that this summary was written that it's going to be from Doka's perspective mainly, or he will be one of the perspectives that we get if she decides to include both Sasuke, Adala, and Doka as having perspectives in this book, because it's very much so about him ruling and the Senate not being particularly happy. Yeah, it seems like he's gonna be. I don't want it to be one of those sappy where it's like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, I'm so in love with her, but she doesn't notice me. I can't do it.
He's gonna keep putting potatoes in his bed, and that's gonna be the WAP for him.
Not the potatoes. That ain't no WAP. Ain't no WAP.
You know what? You know what? All you got to do is get him another one of those gel puppets and just lay it next to him and just be okay.
That was so embarrassing. I cannot get past the fact that she put that man in bed with the gel puppet.
Like right into the navel. It's like, I think he got her in the navel. And I'm just like, oh God, he did.
I would be embarrassed too because
there's a tearing sound.
He enjoyed himself.
I'm just like,
he had fun. Fell
asleep.
asleep.
I get you've never been in it, but I mean, know where it is, right?
Well, if you've never been in it, no, you don't.
They gave Sasuke the sex talk several times. I'm sure his mom and them gave him one.
You know,
just because they get the sex talk don't mean they don't know what to do with it.
Talk doesn't mean anything.
Anatomy, like okay, it's shaped like a V. It's not shaped like a flat plane. It's a V. It's a V.
There's a lot of people who need to learn. There's a lot of people who need to learn that.
Yep.
That's fair.
Okay, Britt, I don't even know what a plot device is. That is new language to me.
Oh, sorry. What about the plot device? Sister Ken is a plot device.
Oh,
I'll Google that.
Yeah,
later.
A plot device is basically something that only exists to drive the plot.
Right.
So, like, Sister Ken was just there to be a villain and to drive Sasuke to be better, to make Sasuke look good. That's why I said she was a wasted character.
She didn't make her look good.
She didn't look good. I mean, she looks like
She looked like a pirate.
Well, let me rephrase that. Sisterkin was like downgraded to a throwaway villain, like that, I guess, because nobody likes Sisterkin.
I would.
I mean, nobody likes Sasuke.
I would have preferred Sisterkin to a proper villain.
I would have too. I was waiting.
And to be like a proper antagonist versus just being something to move the plot forward. And it didn't even move the plot forward well.
Actually slowed it down a little bit, actually.
Yeah. So that I had an issue. I think Sisterkin could have been fleshed out a little more.
Yeah.
And she could have been a true Moriarty.
Oh, that's what I was going to get at. That reminded me, Sherlock Holmes. Okay, so one of the things that I've had an issue with the book with the way it was structured is that I think it suffered in being from a person point of view. I think it needed to be third person, considering how big you can write interesting characters in a third person point of view, but it also would have helped solve the telling problem, because when you write first person, it does limit your perspective a lot. Mm-hmm. And with a story like this, you needed a broader look at what was going on versus just like these two people who know fuck all about anything. So I feel like this book suffered a lot with it not being in third person. And on top of that, I feel like Nicky is the type of person who is really good at narrative, not at character-driven plots. That's what it feels like.
A little bit of N.K. Jemisin juice.
Because I think she would have made it. It would have been a good story if she would have stuck to it being a narrative-driven. That the story was not specifically about these characters. It was about the world itself. Especially with the way that she built the world and how lushly it was laid out. I'm trying to think of a good example of this. What's a good example? I got a good one. Give me a second. Because I'm trying to think of something that y'all might have possibly read. Like, what's your really good like fantasy book that y'all have read?
Ooh, the fifth season. Love that one.
I mean, that was in second person. The 5th season was in second person.
Part of it was. So
yeah.
I thought, yeah.
But also the 100,000 Kingdoms I thought was good.
Third person?
Jemisin's thing.
That was first person.
Yeah, Jemisin's thing. I thought that was first person.
Yeah, I love NK. Ray Barrier was phenomenal.
I'm trying to think of one that's more like about the narrative than the thing. Because the only thing I can think of an example is Dune, and that's because I'm reading it. And it does exactly what Escaping Exodus does, but narrative driven. And it's like you have all these complicated casts of characters. You have all these things they're supposed to be. You have their different point of views, chapter by chapter, but they're not first person.
I feel like what you're describing is a long way down to A Small Angry Planet.
There we go. Thank you. Jeez, thank you. There we go.
That's why I was saying I wished that setup. I just didn't have the words. Thank you, Harli.
There we go.
Words.
So it's like
I just didn't have the words to describe that.
That's exactly what it would have done. Yes, Rage of Dragons. Yes. That too. Yeah. Those things have the third person narrative that run with the world building and everything. It's not focused essentially on the characters themselves, which in this I feel like it's wrongfully focused on the characters because it's obvious that the characters don't matter as much as the actual narrative, i.e. the world itself, the world building, the stuff that they're trying to do and what they're trying to save matters. Because the intrigue would be interesting if it wasn't for the fact they're living on a ship that's trying to kill them. So it's like the intrigue doesn't play as closely into what is actually going on. It felt separate from it, and it shouldn't feel that way. And I think that's because the only POVs we got was limited to these two characters versus getting a broader scope of what's going on and the world around them. And that's why I felt like again, could have been longer, but also I think a point of view change would have been better.
Like, what if it felt more like a culminating moment, like the destruction of a civilization, like the result of all these bad decisions, as opposed to like kind of like bad coincidences just happening to line up.
Okay. Exactly. Like
have you read Poppy Wars, Harli?
Not yet. It's my next read after this, which is why I'm like taking a break from doing this currently, because I have to catch up on the stuff that I'm doing, and then one of the things is reading that. But
when are you reading that, Harli?
Huh?
When are you reading it?
Oh, I'm gonna be reading it after like since I finished this. That's one of the books I'm gonna be reading. I'm gonna be reading that, and I'm gonna be reading Dune, because I don't know if y'all heard, but Dune is lit as fuck. Like,
I heard Dune is dry as fuck in the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning, you have to be a person like me who is weird, who loves all that fucking backstory, but at the same time, yes, it's dry as shit. I'm not gonna lie and say that it isn't, because it really is. That is a chore. But once you get in, once you get to what's happening at that moment.
Well, let me know the page number on the moment.
The only problem I have, and I'm gonna chalk this up to Dune being written back in the 1960s, is the fact that you need that to understand what's going on. You need the preamble, and that's the only thing I don't like. But I understand that was because in the 60s people had time on their hands.
Well, we got a lot of time on our hands right now too.
Fair. Erica's not wrong.
Erica. She's like,
I'm just saying. I mean,
Ashley, did you see how many books are going to be in this series?
In the which one?
In the book, did you see how many books will be in this series? Is this a duology?
It only shows 2 right now.
I don't think they intended to write another one until like she probably got inspired, which is fair. That means it'll actually probably be enjoyable. I don't like when people like pump out novels like one right after the other when they're not.
I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. Mm-hmm. I'm nervous that this book is gonna be like Children of Blood and Bones. I'm afraid to read the Virtuance one.
Don't do it,
because people hate it so much.
I recommend it.
It's so garbage.
And I'm just like, damn, people were here for the first book, and then the second book, people are like, this is horse manure. And I'm like, no.
I feel like that's generous. You can do stuff with horse manure. You can use it as fertilizer.
Damn, Chloe.
That was mean. I'm sorry, that was mean.
You see,
but I spot no lies.
I got quiet because we already know how I feel about Children of Blood and Bone, and it's shoddy ass world building.
Okay, I just want to say that I love Children of Blood and Bone. Mm-hmm. I know the exact page I stopped in Children of Virtue and Vengeance. Is that the name of the book?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the page?
I stopped at page 110.
Oh,
and I was like, I am not doing this anymore.
My friend bought me that book. I feel like I have to commit.
No, you don't. They don't need to know.
No, you don't.
Did they give you a gift receipt?
Chloe's like, hold on, I know how you can get rid of that motherfucker. Hold on.
Chloe said, trap that motherfucker. Trap that motherfucker.
Listen, let me tell you something. I also hate, this is my biggest pet peeve, okay? I hate that every Black YA fantasy that comes out now is compared to Children of Blood and Bone. I can't stand that. I can't stand that.
Okay, I got a TikTok about that. I feel like it's gonna be really mean, but I'm just gonna post.
Oh, is that what you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, I really need your advice.
Send it to me tonight.
I just feel like I just have to send that.
Actually, interesting thing when I did my interview with Alicia Dow, which I'm gonna post this month, I promise. But she brought up how she had issues in the publishing industry of them wanting it to be like Children of Blood and Bone, or and wanting it to be The Hate You Give with aliens. So knowing that is really discouraging, because that's what they're telling the people who are writing our stories? That like, can you make it more like this thing that sold a lot?
It's unfortunate because it's not. I get that it's in the business of making money, but it does such a disservice to writers who are really bringing original ideas to the table. Like someone just said in the group or in the chat thing, Ray Bear was so much better.
Yeah,
it was. I think the concept of Ray Bear was so much more of an original story. And yet you have situations where you have people pushing these books saying that they are similar to stuff like Children of Blood and Bone. Like it just, listen, I was a huge supporter. Okay. I went and I got Children of Blood and Bone and I was so happy when I read it. I was like, yeah, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to support the author. I'm going to buy the second book. Bought the book, hardcover. First of all, y'all know me and my coins.
bought that hard.
I do not do that. I'm very frugal like that. Like it's either getting sent to me or I'm buying it secondhand. And it was just, I went out, got the book, and to read that and be like, what? And it was like 2 different people wrote the book.
Yeah.
It's so bad when the 3rd book comes out. I'm telling y'all right now, it's coming from the library. I'm not buying it.
She had a. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
That's how I feel too. Like, I want the series completed on my shelf, but at the same time, I'm like, I can't even get beyond 100 pages.
I don't care
So how am I going to have a completed series on my shelf?
I don't even care about that at this point. At this point, I'm just like, and I can't even do anything with the books because I annotated them. So
2 things. One being that. Oh God, sorry. Go ahead. 2 things.
Harli.
One being that Kobab was one that she had help writing.
Yeah, you said that. It was her who?
Kobab expert.
Yeah, her it was part of her thesis, I believe, for literature or something like that. Or writing. Second thing, this comment. Starting to feel like fetishizing Africa. Can we have some stories of Black people that are not Afrocentric in such a forced way? What about Southern Black fantasies? I want that.
Ooh.
I want some Southern Black fantasies.
That's a good
I
one.
think there's one coming out. I know it's not out right now.
Daughters of Jubilation.
Yes,
I feel like got that vibe.
Yes, I'm excited to read that one.
Got that book today. I just got that book today. I was like, nice.
Also, I would like, and I'm gonna be on that side. I would like some adult epic fantasies that are like by Black people, not specifically about Black people, but just some like high world building fantasies by Black people. That's why this book made me so excited because that world building was just. I was like, this is what I want to see from us. I don't like any of these people though.
See, you trying to blow up the beast too. It ain't just me.
Look, but this was a good step to me because I don't hate YA. I have a ton of YA because I love certain stories in YA because I don't discriminate in the stories I read. My problem is that there's a lot of epic fantasy and stuff like that, which is something that I love, but there's not a lot of us in it. There's not a lot of long-running series. There's not a lot of in-depth world building or like hard magic systems or things like that, the things that make up like epic fantasy. And it makes me sad because our imaginations are lit enough to do some shit like that. But I feel like publishers won't let us because it's not the next Children of Blood and Bone or the next like well, I can't say N.K. Jemisin because they're not even paying her good enough for her shit. That makes me sad.
Yeah.
40 lousy thousand. 40.
At least she got that one. The MacArthur Fellowship was announced today that she won. But still, it's like too little too late, I feel like, with her being N.K. Jemisin.
Also,
N.K. Jemisin, Jacqueline Woodson, and like I thought there was one other.
Oh, my baby. Jacqueline.
But the hysteric for her getting paid that amount also comes from the fact that Orbit is a small publisher. They don't give a lot of money. If it was the big 5, I'd be more pissed. But like
it's the big 5 are not paying.
No, I know they're not.
So
would still get some coin from the movies and a TV show she sold all the rights to.
All right, and she has a computer
yeah,
game I
I
thought
like
coming
that.
out for 5th season, which I hope actually happens. Allegedly.
I didn't know
The
that.
news
You ever
article
watch
about
N.K.
that.
Jemisin stream her video games? That shit is funny.
I haven't watched it.
I like watching her stream. This is the funniest thing. Also, she says a lot of like interesting things, like when she was playing Bioshock. But at the same time, I was just like, this is the most entertaining thing I've ever seen because she like curses and shit. He's so funny. But that's
I was not a fan either. I was not a fan.
Fan of what?
LL McKinney's Nightverse trilogy.
Like it was okay.
I don't know what that is.
I wasn't. I wasn't.
Oh
I
gosh,
wasn't.
sorry, that wasn't the comment.
That's
It was A Blade So Black.
yeah,
Blade So
the
Black.
Alice in Wonderland.
Wonderland retelling.
I thought it was okay.
See, y'all gonna think I hate YA again. Because I read that book just to prove a point, because I do that sometimes. And I read through like A Blade So Black, and I was just like, this is the same problem that Children Blood and Bone had. This is just Buffy, except it's with Alice and Black folk. Just like Children of Blood and Bone was just Avatar with Black people to me. That was my problem with like a lot of that, is that they don't add enough of their own the unique imaginations and our own like cultural aspects of it to set it apart from these things. Like the fact that like, mind you, I can compare a lot of things to this book, but I don't have them come to mind. I actually have to think about it. It's Avatar. Or be like, that's Buffy. It's not even a that's Buffy, but that's just Buffy. And I'm just like,
I don't know why is looking at it from the librarian perspective. Why is an interesting aspect of the publishing market now, because it hasn't existed for a very long time. I think a lot of people forget that YA, as we know it right now, has not existed for very long at all. I mean,
how many, like 30 years?
No, not even. I mean, the way that we know it right now is definitely the golden age. I think started with the release of with like Harry Potter and Twilight. That's when that phase. So yeah, so we're talking what, maybe 20 years, if that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's so interesting because there's so many conversations about YA in the publishing industry and who is truly the intended audience with YA. In the library setting, I see more adults who are in our let's put it this way. And the only reason why I know this is in our central location, like our main location, there's a teen center. But adults, if you're over the age of 18, you're not allowed to enter that area because they want to keep that space specifically for teens.
Makes sense.
So they had to redesign that whole area because adults were going into the area not to invade the space and privacy of the teens, but because they wanted access to the teen collection. And so they had to move the books out. That way you weren't in the space, but you could still browse the collection. So I feel like a lot of times with the way that YA books are written, sometimes it's hard to decipher who the intended audience is, because you don't know if the intended audience is really, and it depends on who you speak to, because in a library system, we consider our teens, 12 to 18, but I don't think all YA content is necessarily written with 12 years old in mind, because that's still middle school technically.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times YA books fail in some regards because they don't know who they're for.
Yeah.
Because they're supposed to be for, our maybe upper middle school to high school kids, but then they're trying to also instill this appeal for an older audience. So it's a lot of convolution, I think, that goes on when we talk about why these books are written the way that they're written and why some things and aspects of it just don't make sense. Because I think sometimes the publishing industry doesn't know who are these books being written for? Who are we trying to target here? Are we really targeting teens? Or are we targeting adults?
I
And
would
then
say, oh, go ahead.
working at my bookstore was just redesigned, and the way it's designed now is that when you go in, you go like straight back into YA, but directly off to the right is fiction, is adult fiction. So there's almost no break. And people just kind of like go back there, ooh, that looks interesting, and then they go on into fiction or vice versa. So we haven't even,
Well,
other
see,
than signage.
I think that's a good thing because when you're a teenager and you're doing that, and then suddenly you're transitioning into adult, like looking for something interesting, it makes it easier to go those things. But at least it's not like our store. Our store is set up where the teen section bleeds into the romance and erotica section.
Wow.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
That's interesting.
okay.
Yep. I bullshit you not. That was a weird move. Which tells you something because, and the reason that it is set up this way, and I can attest to this because worked there for years, the reason it's set up this way is because the majority of our YA buyers are adult women.
Yeah.
So they decided to put the romance section right next to it to move some books. And it's working, mind you, but it also says a lot about what Ashley was saying, the problem with who the audience is for these books.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's adult women reading these books. And when you ask them, you talk to them, because we did when I worked there, to our customers what they found interesting about it. And most of the people say, like, I don't like reading adult books because I generally don't like to read, but if I'm going to read one, I want to know that it's going to have, one, a happy ending, or two, a really good romance to it. I want my favorite characters to get together. I want them to be happy. And at least with YA, I'm guaranteed a happy ending. And I was like, first of all, no, you're not. But second of all, you
Not
can
old school YA.
Yeah, no, not old school YA. YA now, yes, but that was like, but that's the thing that I hear the most is like, oh, I love them because teens are just so pure. And these are things that they said. Like it's like teen stories, they're just so pure. They're just discovering the world. They're just like starting to come into self. They're discovering their identities and stuff like that. And mind you, these are not new like people who are like in their early 20s. These are people 26 to 35. Their lives should already be somewhat established by now. So they're going back and reading this for that escapism, which great, do you. But at the same time, these people are decentralizing the market from teen to adults and changing the demographic of those stories because they're mostly reading that because of the idea, mind you, again, what I said first was the fact that they don't read a lot. So you have them sticking to this one thing and automatically assuming that what they need and what they want, that escapism they want, is not going to be in the adult section or adult fiction, or those books are too hard or too long or too dry and stuff like that, even though the same type of storylines that take place in YA take place in adult fiction too. It's just this is for a younger audience. But that's the weirdest thing about that, which is why, like, I look at that and I see it on Twitter as well, and it matches up with the experience, saying like, oh, this doesn't exist in fiction because this is why YA is better and stuff like that. This is the genre I like to read. Personally, it's not a genre, it's a category. I'm still gonna stand by that. But like that was the weirdest part. That was the weirdest part about working there, is finding all of these, specifically women, because the teens, mind you, they drifted all over the store. They didn't just stick to YA. They were like, okay, I'm going to go over to this fiction site. Oh, I'm buying this science fiction book, or oh, I'm getting this thriller, this mystery and stuff. I hate to say it, but teens are more eclectic in their reading tastes than the grown people that I see go to the YA section.
I think it also
YA is escapism for adults.
Yeah.
I also think it's easy access too. I think that YA is written in. I wrote a review for. I don't know if y'all heard of. Was Ashley Woodfolk's new books, the Fly Girl series?
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah, she released 2 this year. She's releasing another 2 next year. and in my review, I wrote that those books are high-low books, which is something that we never really talk about. The fact that it's high interest but low difficulty for those, teens that are reading these books that are not on their designated reading level.
Right.
And I think that YA as a whole, when I look at like Lex levels, when I'm working with the schools, they fall on the lower end of Lexile levels. And I wonder if sometimes it is easier to pick up in terms of accessibility and not really having to work as hard in terms of I don't want to say comprehension, but it's the only word that's coming to my mind right now. You don't have to think as much as if you're picking up an adult fantasy book as opposed to a YA. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And that
it's
to me is
reading levels.
yeah, I feel like
It's reading
sometimes
levels.
it's a gravitation towards that because it's not that because people get offended when you say that YA books are easier, and it's not a shade on them being easier. They are more accessible because they're written at a certain level for a
Reading
certain
level,
audience, and that's the truth. It doesn't make them any less quality, but they are easier to digest, and that is the purpose. So when you say stuff like Harli, like you just said, like people who are like, oh yeah, well I don't really read like that.
Exactly.
It's an ease of access, and I think that sometimes that's why people have a difficult time transferring between YA and adult because you got to work a little bit harder. I know for me personally, I could fly through YA like this. I pick up an adult book and it's like, let me go ahead and just take my time.
I like spooked myself because I got through a YA in like 2 hours. I was like, oh shit.
I guess we're different. I'm always confused in YA. Maybe it's because the YA I read is fantasy, and a lot of times it's high fantasy, and I'm just don't quite understand the world building and all those moving parts.
Mhm.
So I get confused very fast.
Well, I'm not going to say it's a quality issue, but that does come down to the way that what is considered high YA fantasy is set up, and it's not set up as comprehensively as I know people say that adult high fantasy can be confusing, which it can be, but there's not a lot required. There's not as much required in YA high fantasy. So like they don't have to fill in as many gaps when they do it. They just have to tell most of the story, and the rest is filled in by contextually your own imagination and stuff like that. So like I feel like with YA fantasy, it is both easy and hard to read, for at least for me in general, because when I read it, it's like it's an easy read. I can finish it in a day, but there's always like, I didn't quite understand this. What were they getting at with this? Because some of the context is missing because it wasn't basically worried about. Kind of like the same mistakes you see in Escaping Exodus is like the mistake I always see in YA fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a book I read recently that I really liked, and I hate it that I like it. You ever read a book that you hate that you like? Anyway, it's called The Beautiful by
By
Renee.
Renee Adier.
I was like, this is my shit forever. I'm finishing the whole season. But after I finished it, I was like, oh, damn, there's a lot of shit I didn't catch. So I had to reread it. And then I was like, oh, shit, damn, there's a lot of shit I didn't catch. And I was like, well, here we are.
I agree, Josh. I think there are adult books. I think especially those that are they're out there, especially when I mean, I would even put James Patterson on that list. I mean, those high profile New York Times bestselling authors out there that do have accessibility in terms of writing. I think people just get so bogged down in reading exclusively YA that it makes that transition from YA to adult seem a little daunting, even if it's not always that way. Some adult books out there are, just for me, can be daunting. And I even have made more of a transition myself this year, which is crazy because I feel like as a teen librarian, I would be reading more teen related stuff than adult. But I found myself switching, and I don't know if that's because I'm getting older. But I think it does. I think it does take time if you're used to being absorbed and exclusively YA. I really
And,
do. I think it takes time to transition.
and
do.
I have this issue with young adults because having been a literature major, and you go basically from reading YA to Victorian old dead white men. Let's just put it that way. Um, you go from reading YA to that, then you try and read YA again, and it's just like it doesn't compute.
Yeah.
It doesn't hit the same.
Yeah, and
Mm-mm.
it's like, and in your brain, in your mind, because you're reading this, at least my experience, because you're reading these classics, and especially when you're analyzing them in such a way that you're just tearing everything apart. When you read YA characters, you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Did you wait? I don't understand. So it doesn't hit the same way. It doesn't compute. And Ashley, you said it in your reading 1-star reviews of your five stars
Oh
about
yeah.
how you can't expect a YA book or a character who's a teenager in a YA book to to act like an adult.
Mhm.
And whenever I read a YA book, that is something that I have to keep in mind. I am on the other side of 30. Yeah.
Listen, fine wine.
Fine wine. Fine wine. Leave it at that.
I'm on the other side. So so it doesn't always work with me because I'm like, I don't understand this. My head is not in that space.
I think for a long time I read adult thriller and mystery, and that's it. I have not that was it for years, y'all. We talking decades. So it's like that's what I read for so long, and now that I'm stepping into YA, I'm realizing the way the tropes are set up in adult is set up differently in YA. And it's confusing. It is so confusing, and I often feel embarrassed because I just be in conversations like this and be like,
Why that? Why the nod?
and just do a little jokey joke, a wop wop, and then pass out and be like, haha, that was my contribution because YA is so confusing. But I will not be defeated. Amen.
Amen.
I think that was my issue too, was because a lot of people criticized what I had to say about a lot of YA because they say, well, you're reading it from an adult perspective. You're criticizing it the same way you criticize an adult book. And I'm like, I'm not saying that the characters should be acting a certain way. And I'm not saying that this book should have adhered to these standards that this adult book in the same category should. My issues with a lot of YA has always been narratively, the writing itself, the way the fact that there's plot holes, the fact that there's things that don't make sense, things that aren't fleshed out, things that contradict each other. And yes, you can find it in any genre, and I'll always say that because I find it more often in anything that I read. But at the same time, with why I find it lessens my enjoyment because I find more of it there. It's like they don't trust your teenage reader to understand, and that bothers me because being someone who has been a teenager and who was reading shit they should not have, I will never say that I couldn't understand the context of a lot of things that they try to execute. But also, it feels like when they try to execute it, they try to execute these adult situations for these teens to navigate. But then at the end, they'd be like, oops, these are teens, by the way. I should probably make it easier for them. I'm like, no, go to 9 yards. Do it. Let them experience that. Go for it. They're teenagers. Let's see how these teenagers would react in this.
That's the problem, is that that's the problem with YA as a category now. Because YA, of course, was created because there was nothing for
Right.
teens. You were either reading children's or
Or
you
you're
were reading
reading
adults. There was no in between whatsoever. And what was supposed to be this establishment of a category for those in between has now become, like we've been saying, this issue where it is trying to appeal to two audiences at the same time. And
Yeah.
to me personally, it doesn't need to, because adults have what they have. You know what I'm saying?
Bree, did
There
you almost
are.
drop your laptop?
Didn't it look like she almost dropped it?
It looks like she almost dropped it.
I did. And
Sorry,
my
I was
phone.
like, I got distracted. I was like, did you just almost drop it? But I heard you. I'm sorry.
I do feel like it just I do feel like that causes mass confusion, because you're trying to put teenagers in these adult situations, like you said, Harley, and then you try to pull back. And then if you're reading this book, and you end up in a situation with reviews where you have people say stuff like, oh, this person was very immature, and it's like they're not supposed to be mature. Like they're not supposed to be mature. Like if we want to talk about writing style or whatever, I understand that, but criticizing the maturity level of your characters, it's kind of hard because they are teens, but it gets confusing because you're putting them in these adult-like situations. And a lot of times there's a situation where like no parental figures are there, like they're completely absent or they're neglectful and stuff like that's never addressed.
Somebody needs to address that at some point about how
I don't know why that happens when you read. And don't get me wrong, I dig my YA. Do not get, it's my job. I can't not dig it, because but you do begin to notice stuff like that. The more I see what publishers are doing, I see how it can be so confusing for everybody involved, because you end up with these books that people are like, oh, it's written so simplistic, not necessarily like simplistic, like it has plot holes, but just literally the writing style is so simplistic. And it's like, well, I mean, we're writing for an audience that may need just, you know, high-low type, you know, books. They have really, honestly, a lot of times I put a lot of this on the editors, like and the publishers, because they have created this whole thing now has become this huge mess. To age appropriate for young adult teens in what cultural context? What do you mean, Britt?
I think what they're saying is, I think what she's saying is that, like, what is considered age appropriate, and how do you know it's age appropriate? Is it based on the culture? Or is it based on like the person? To me, it's teen to teen. Like, because I've said this before, children censor themselves. They'll censor themselves by interest. They'll read something and be like, I don't know what that is. I'll go to something simpler with more of this and more of that in it. So I think like it depends on the teen as far as what's age appropriate, but also how it's handled by the author. Because like you have things like 13 Reasons Why. I hate that book. But you have things like 13 Reasons Why, but it's really popular among teens.
It is.
But it has stuff that you would not consider to be age appropriate for teens. So I think it depends on what they can handle mentally with it.
I can't, and I don't. But see, for me, Britt, I can't really give an answer, because as a librarian, I can't make that determination.
Exactly.
I can't act in in locos parent, whatever it is. Yeah. I don't have the ability to tell anybody that I work with what is age appropriate and what is not. Yeah. I can't. Whatever anybody wants to read, whether like Jennifer just commented, like Court of Thorns and Roses, okay? My library pulled that out of the teen section and we relabeled it as fiction adult because of the content and because of the fact that it was just, we were...
That's Sarah J. Maas?
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned there's a whole incident with that on the publishing side. I'll get to that after I actually finish this.
We pulled that out of the teen section because of the fact that, not because we didn't feel like teens could read it, but because of the explicit sex scenes that occurred in it. We didn't want any parents coming to us saying, how could you have this in the teen section? so we could cover our bases. It may be okay. Like I had a mom and a teenager come in and she was like, my daughter's looking for a Court of Mist and Fury. Her daughter probably was only 13. And the first 22 pages of that book is straight out sex. So I could, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not my job to tell her, you sure you can give that to her, your daughter? 22 pages in, there's sex. I can't do that. I can't. If her mom says, where's the book? Here you go. It's her responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump in real quick before Harli does. And to piggyback off of you, Ashley, at the bookstore, we can't do that either.
Yeah,
we can only say, if you're looking for something that's YA, there's YA there. If you're looking for something that's middle grade is over there. You know,
I have looked it up for kids before like that.
we do like kind of tell them what it's about if we can, but we can't.
We can't determine what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. That's the guardian's role.
And that's usually how I go through it. I'm a neutral party. I'm like, you want to read that? Okay, go right ahead. The thing is that a woman brought it up there. I thought it was for her because I knew what the book was about. It was like a Sleeping Beauty retelling by Anne Rice. I forgot what it's called. But it is erotica, and I was like, "Oh, I love that book." It was like, "Oh, I know." It's like, "Oh, really?" It's like, "Would you recommend?" It's like, "Would you recommend it for her?" I was like, "I'm looking for a good fantasy for her." I was like, "Oh, that's not a fantasy, that's erotica." I was like saying it without like even thinking about it. I was like, "Oh no, that's erotica." And she was just like, she looked at her daughter and said, "Put it back." And I'm just like, which tells me that kid is probably been reading like a lot of sex. Like that kid's reading.
That daughter is about to throw you in that heartbeat. Tell you.
But to bring up the thing about Sarah J. Maas, like
her own fan fiction.
She's probably read a lot of fan fiction. Which, hey, that's what that's where a lot of us started.
I get what Britt was saying. Sorry, y'all. I get what Britt was saying now. Okay, Britt was saying like in terms of it being a cultural experience because someone had. So when I did that video, someone had said that, which pissed me off, but I'm glad I did it because it was during Banned Books Week. And somebody had written a 1-star review of Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds.
What?
And they said, and they said that the book should be banned and that parents shouldn't buy the book for their kids. And then someone else had said that it was unrealistic and it wasn't age appropriate. But I get what Britt is saying. That's a cultural thing because the book itself was about the cycle of violence in the Black community that our kids face because of things that are passed down generationally. And it was very age appropriate because there are kids that are within that age group that experience those very things. So you're right, like sometimes content is not even the way to go because let's being frank, what White Johnny is experiencing is not going to be the same at what our main character was experiencing in Long Way Down. You get what I'm saying? So I get it now. Yeah, the culture does dictate what is age appropriate.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and I do like if we're talking about culturally, I will say that this is X, Y, and Z. Yeah. But you still have to make the decision as to whether or not you want to get it.
It comes down to like you choosing what you want for your kid and shit like that, which I get, and I'm not going to interfere with that. But at the same time, I am that person that will recommend a book when I see a kid that is interested in something that is higher or supposedly too big for them, because I'm based on what they're reading. I'm just like, you would like this, and then they come back and be like, oh, I love this. Is there some more? So then I take their ass to the adult fiction section. I'm just like, let me pick out the ones I know that aren't going to get you into trouble. Here you go. But that's the thing that people don't understand when they say like what's age appropriate and what's not. The kid themselves psychologically and when they read the book will decide what is appropriate for them, because they'll read it and they know that it's not real. They automatically know it's not real. It's a freaking book. And it's like they'll read it and enjoy it. And maybe they're ready for something different. But the thing is that a lot of parents, especially where I live in freaking Texas, so they don't want their kid to experience that until they are older. But a lot of them who do read a lot wander and find books that they want to read and stuff like that. which is why it's like it bothers me when parents come and be like, "What's in this book? Is there sex in this book? This book seems too adult. You got it from this section." And I was just like, "Dude, this is just like a darker shade of magic. He'll be fine. Get away from me." But, that's how I feel.
I don't really know how I feel about that book.
What?
About like kids like sister and stuff. Well, see, I say kids,
No,
but I'm thinking like older
I don't know how I
teens.
feel about A Darker Shade of Magic.
I haven't read it.
I've never heard of it.
It's by V.
Schwab.
Schwab.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, never mind. I
Shades of
haven't read
Magic.
it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's my thing with that is that like I feel like it's written very simply, and I feel like it could have been put in the YA category simply because of how it's written, but also it does deal with a lot of like adult topics and stuff like that, but it's not something that anyone outside of YA like inside of YA couldn't handle. If you're already reading YA, you can read that shit.
She writes when she writes under V.E. Schwab, it's specifically an adult book.
Yeah.
When she writes under Victoria,
yeah, that's a YA book. But at the same time,
I really like her books. Vicious.
Vicious, I would never give to a kid.
Huh?
I wouldn't give like Vicious. I would never give to a kid, like even if they were reading YA. But like as far as The Darkest Shade of Magic and like her teen series, The Monsters of Verity, which I've read both of them.
Duology,
yeah, I love those. But to me, that and A Darker Shade are written so similarly that you wouldn't be that much of a difference in like.
I've heard someone say that before, that the writing style in the two of those is very, very similar for them to be separated into two target audiences.
Yeah, so if they wanted to transition, that would be what I'd recommend. Like, hey, you read this here.
And if I can speak, and I haven't even finished my glass of wine. So I don't know what's going on here.
Tired.
But like the Poppy War, for example, that a lot of people consider that teen.
Why?
I don't know.
Do you think that's no? You know what I think that is? I think that's booktube culture, though. I don't think that's reality.
The minute it gets popular, the minute BookTube gets a hold of it, it's automatically slated to YA.
It is not YA.
And it drives me crazy.
And you know, I get teens that come in, "Ooh, I want to read the Poppy War." Like, "Oh, do you really?"
Sure.
The Poppy War.
Mind you, I'm not gonna give it. I'm not gonna be like, "Hey, no, you can't read that." I'm gonna be like, "Here."
Yeah, because
that's all I can do. Be like, "Here you go."
Yeah. I mean, you just think that it's YA, and I'm like, okay. Whatever.
It's bacon time, says like, so does popular equal YA in book Twitter and in the BookTube sphere? Yes, because the majority of BookTube is controlled by the YA community / audience.
Yeah.
So the minute that they read something outside of YA, it automatically has to be slated into YA for them to like be on it. They automatically assume that it's YA, or when they find out it's not, they'll say it reads like YA or this is new adult, which drives
it is not.
But I'll leave that rant for another day. But they'll basically say that this is YA or this is new adult. And like I've seen a video set called Game of Thrones New Adult because they liked it. And I'm just like, so these are just adult books that you like because you read majority YA and you don't want to alienate your audience. That's what that is. Okay.
No.
Got it.
And that's what that's about, is still having that YA appeal while reading stuff outside of the YA category. That's what that is all about.
Can we talk about this comment from Kiki for a second?
Are we talking about Poppy War?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That compared it to Harry Potter?
Yeah, I am so sick.
Child, I can't.
Of people comparing books written by authors of color, by Black authors, to Harry Potter and all these other white
Legend-born.
Sick of it. Legend.
But there's nothing like
Legend-born. They compared to City of Bones, and it pissed me the fuck off.
But they don't even
sound the same. City of Bones, but I'll tell you right now, I'm currently obsessed with Legend-born. I have to literally, it's bad. Like I'm at work, like trying to get at least a paragraph between a meeting. You hear me? Like it's crack. It's crack.
I think they just assume that when they read these books and slate them into YA, they say like, oh, there's a teen female. I'm specifically saying teen female protagonist. Oh, there's a teen female protagonist. It's obviously YA, which is another problem. Oh, that brings me back to Sarah J. Maas, the whole Court of Thorns Roses thing. Okay, so everybody, I've read those books and I actually love them. They are my crash read. But the problem is that everyone in that book is an adult. 19 to 20s and stuff like that. Everyone in that book is an adult. So you wonder, how did it get slated into YA? Apparently, that was not Sarah J. Maas's intention. The publishers put it into YA because they assumed she, being a female, writing fantasy, quote unquote, fairy romance, was writing YA. And they felt they could sell it better to that demographic, which it fucking worked. But
money.
But they've only just now moved it to the adult section, as in like within the past few, like I think like just last year they moved it to the adult section.
Where? Because it's still in the YA section in the bookstores here. I heard that the reprint
the reprint is in the adult section. Like they just
in the adult section.
There. Yeah. And I'm just like, so y'all just not gonna take the sure. But that's another problem in the industry, is the fact that anytime that a woman writes anything about a female protagonist who is even remotely in their teens, or hell, even remotely young, because like again, the characters are in their 20s, it's slated as YA, which makes the category, even if you're going by supposedly age range, the category of YA way too broad. Because technically, yes, a 20-year-old is a young adult, which is why I never agree with the change from teen section to young adult, because that's too vague. But that's with a lot of books, and why you saw a lot of YA getting a lot of books that had sex in, is because they're slating them into this. Because everyone is of age having sex in that book. Everyone is an adult, which would have made it make more sense being in the adult section. But that was not even her choice to like slate it there. And that's
I wonder, can a series transform? Like when it start off in a genre, is that what it has to end in? Because I feel like, going back to Gray Barrier, because I'm obsessed, it did start off as a YA, and then they grew up. And I'm assuming more years are going to pass.
So the content, go ahead, Erica.
Actually, that happened. The Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, Logan's series by Mildred D. Taylor. Her last book, all of the other 3, there are 4 books, but the previous 3 are middle grade, and the last one is a young adult.
It's been to like with you.
So that's the most recent one that I can think of.
It's so okay. I have to agree and say I don't think the age of the characters determines whether it's YA, middle grade, children's, or adult, even if they age up. I mean, I guess you could. Meg Cabot did the same thing with the Princess Diaries. Those all started off as teens, and the last book in that series was an adult book. So it can happen, but I think somebody Miss WOC Reader made a good point earlier. I don't know if y'all saw it, where they stated that the 12 to 14 age group is now getting left out, which I agree with.
Yeah.
I really agree with that, because I even see that in the library. Like, that target audience is strongly being left out because, like they stated, middle grade becomes too young.
Mm-hmm.
And 12, 13, 14, you're looking at 8th, 9th, and possibly 10th grade, depending upon what state you're in. they're not going to want to carry a middle grade book around because it's going to just the appearance of it is going to feel too young.
Yeah.
But then YA is no longer being written for those who would be like on the lower, I don't want to say lower, but yeah, the younger spectrum, not lower, the younger spectrum of YA fiction. And even I feel like sometimes BookTube just confuses things, because I see people call children's books on BookTube middle grade, and it drives me crazy because they're not the same thing. And I hate that anything that's not teen or YA or adult is considered middle grade, because that's not true. It's not. That's not how it works. And I wonder if that has to do a lot with just as a community, lack of knowledge of how the publishing industry works.
I think it's more so to do with a lack of knowledge of how books in general work, because again, we come back to the idea that most of the people that read YA are people who didn't used to read a lot in general. Because you, with us who have been reading all of our lives, we know there's differences between all this. Whereas you have someone who mostly reads one category, and it's mostly because they don't read broadly anyway. So they don't have the experience of venturing to these different sections to get the experience that this is not this, this is not that. These have different categories, et cetera, et cetera. They're just sticking to the one thing. And you have those type of people being the sole voice of the book community, telling you what this is and telling you what that is. And that's where the mass confusion coming in. You have people who lack the experience and often the range to talk about these things. And they're being carried as the truth and as factual. Well, this person's a big popular booktuber. Why would they not know this thing? So it's easier to trust what they say
than to have the actual back. I mean, I guess too, that's the same way that I get really cringy when I see a trade comic being called a graphic novel. It grates my soul, and I'm so tempted, but I know it would piss people off, like, because I really want to make a video that says manga, comics, graphic novels.
I think
are they the same?
Because I need it.
They're not the same.
I need it. I need
They're
it.
not the same thing. And it's so frustrating. Yes, it's so frustrating because it means a lot to that section of literature. It means a lot to create that distinguishing between manga, comics, and graphic novels, because they are separate entities. Yes. So when I see a trade comic being held up and it's like, this is my favorite graphic novel, and I'm like, oh, boo, no, it's not a graphic novel, though. It's a comic. And people are like, well, does it really make a difference? Yes, it does. It makes a difference to the people who are actively a part of those communities, because that is their art form. Like, you just don't get to call things what you want to call them just because it's like, well, it's not really that big of a difference. When it's like, yeah, there is a huge difference. Okay. So
those same people will be like, oh, the moment you say like, oh, by the way, this is a YA fantasy. It's a fantasy romance. There's a fucking difference. That's those type of people. They have that same energy. Those people have that. It's like, it's not a big deal. Don't you say that YA this and this and this, because YA is actually this and this and this. Don't mess it up. You should be like more respectful of our community. But also this single issue comic is a graphic novel.
I feel like that there's just a lot of stuff that people don't know, and the information that's out there is just not consistent. Yeah. So it just makes it very hard for you to understand. Like, there's a book I'm reading this month that I just keep saying book because I do not know if it's a comic or a graphic novel. So I'm just like, it's a book. So
the easiest way to tell the difference is when it is serialized, when it has single issues. It is a comic book series. The book that you're holding up is just nothing more than a trade paperback of 4 issues compiled together. Yeah. The graphic novels have a tendency to have a middle, a beginning, and an end within one book.
It's literally a novel that's set up like a comic. It's really just a novel formatted into comic form.
So I'm reading a comic. Got it.
What are you reading?
What are you reading?
House of Whispers. I want to.
Yeah, that's the.
Oh yeah, that's a comic.
It's a comic.
That's a comic.
Look at me.
That's a comic.
Yeah, that's a comic.
Yeah, because that takes place in the Sandman universe. Yeah, that's definitely a comic.
But anyway, I love the Sandman universe. I'm sorry, I get.
I'm gonna purchase House of Whispers because I purchased it already. I just don't think that my eyes, like Chloe, can take reading a comic or graphic novel on a e-reader. I
I
can't.
can't do it
I
either.
can't live that life. And I don't know if I should ask my best friend if they have it at the library.
I'm struggling with because I got approved for what is it? Oh my gosh, Jason Reynolds. I was about to
It's hard to read
A Long Way
down. That graphic novel, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to read it online.
That's why I don't like reading. I don't like reading art versions of graphic novels because of the fact that it's not either the coloring is not going to be done, or your text is not going to be placed in where it's going to be placed in the final copy. It gets very, very tricky. Yeah.
And the wording is off. Like the word, like it'll say here, and you'll be like, here is Joe, and you're like, what? That doesn't make sense. And then you see the W at the bottom, and you're like, oh, where is Joe?
I think it's weird that there are comic book arcs. That
I think so too.
There's just no reason.
There's no reason.
Like, just give me a pre-published one. Like, damn.
Yeah.
And it's not that long.
There was a point I was going to make
a document.
What'd you say?
There was a point I was going to make. Oh, go ahead. But about when we were talking about the difference between manga and comics and graphic novels and stuff, people are getting into reading manga, and I kind of hate them.
Why?
Why you gonna hate on me?
Because next month. Because much like Ashley was saying with comic books, you have YA people who are getting into manga, not knowing what the fuck they're doing. They don't understand the idea that they hold up, say, My Hero Academia. It's like, oh, this is a YA manga, and I'm like, that's
the category doesn't apply.
So would it be different? I know that I might seem like the dumb one here, but I have no idea what I'm talking about. So for manga, for manga, I do want to start next month.
Mm-hmm.
Do anybody have an entry? I need an entry one. And then what am I like? Does YA and adult, like those titles, not fit in manga?
Is there really a YA?
No.
No.
Josei, would that be sort of?
Josei is more like, I would feel like Josei is more like upper high school graduated, like in college, young woman.
Like
Josei to me feels more young woman.
Okay.
Yeah, like Nana is Josei, and it's very much like young women trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives. Yeah.
So then there's hentai, there's isekai, there's freaking
shonen,
shoujo, shoujo ai, yaoi, yuri.
Bree's looking lost.
It's a lot. So it's like,
I don't think this means it makes any sense for her.
For instance, you like mystery, intrigue, stuff like that.
Right.
I could suggest the manga Monster to you because it is a thriller. Yeah. It is a thriller about a dude who saves the life of a kid who is actually a sociopath.
Wait a minute. You said it was a thriller? Sold.
Yes. And that's the problem. People are putting manga into one category because most of what they see is like, oh, these are high school kids. Obviously it's YA. And it's just like, motherfucker, no. No.
It certainly is.
So what is it? Wait, what's the name of it? The Monster?
Mm-hmm. And if you ever want to, you can watch the anime of it too, because that shit is lit. It just hit right, man.
Listen, I've watched 2 anime in my life. One Punch Man, loved it. Then I watched the Returning of the Titans, and I was like, too much, I'm out.
So that's pretty much how it went.
Oh, you mean Attack on Titan? Okay.
Somebody a Titan. A Titan.
I'm about to say
be
Return of the
fair,
Titan.
Yeah,
would
it's
be
real
your bad.
bloody, right? Like they chomp on someone's head and the blood's everywhere.
Okay, Attack on Titan is not something I would recommend to anyone because the quality of that goes down after about 10 volumes in.
Listen, I was dating a
And
dude.
then you have no
doing
idea what's going on.
That was his jam, and I was watching it. Mistakes were made.
Ooh, a lot of mistakes.
I liked Attack on Titan.
But that's the I liked it until it got no. I had a bad time after a while. I was just like, what the fuck is happening? But like with manga, you can't make that judgment because manga has its own separate categories, just like Japan has its own separate categories of how literature works. You have light novels, which are considered quote unquote their YA, but it's a little more complicated than that. Light novels tend to center teens and stuff like that. And it tends to center those kind of like teen problems and stuff, but it also carries a lot of adult content in it, depending on who's writing it.
Can you tell me who wrote this book by monsters?
Yeah, it's Urasawa. URA.
URA.
SAWA.
So like, what would you call YA? Like the shonen and the what was it?
Shoujo.
Shoujo. Would you? I was reading that in like middle school, early high school.
I mean, like you can read it. It's just like the age group for most of it. It all depends on who wrote it and what it's about.
Yeah,
because go ahead.
I do feel like shoujo does. I like where josei is more for like young women. I feel like shoujo is
more for teen girls.
For teen girls. Yeah.
Okay. So great like genres in manga, it's usually like divided up by age and gender. So like shoujo is usually aimed at like very like kind of younger girls, like
a lot of their categories are based on demographic, not so much gender, because you have like isekai is considered its own category of manga, but it's for people who like being transported to other worlds and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it's all based on the demographic isekai.
Okay.
I'll get spelling later.
But like my love story it's so hard because I feel like those are the general. But I feel like my love story, you would consider that shoujo, right?
You would consider it shoujo. Like shoujo is considered anything that has more of a romance.
That's it. That's what I was looking. Yeah. So like my love story has a male protagonist, but it's heavy on the romance side, and it's considered shoujo.
But
sorry, never mind.
The problem
when I get the manga.
Sorry, go ahead.
Manga. When I get the manga, is it gonna say this is Sojo?
No,
probably not. It kind of depends.
It depends on the older ones you do.
Yeah.
On the older ones, like on Skip Beat, on the older ones, it does say shoujo on it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, no.
Most part, they're their own category. The reason that you have the categories now is because manga got so there's more of a reason to like have those like kind of confining categories to like keep them all straight, because manga is batshit, okay? Like it can be all over the place.
Yes, someone said Nana and Paradise Kiss are their favorite. You are my soul. So, I love Nana. I just bought the rest of the series this month.
I'm a Clamp whore, so like anything by
I've
Clamp
never
is
read
my
Clamp.
bread and butter.
I've never read anything by Clamp.
Skip Beat was a lot of fun, Britt. I had to give up though. That romance was too drawn out.
Really? It's a long one, isn't it?
It's long.
But I will say, the problem with the shoujo category is that there's a difference between shoujo, and there's which is mostly heavily romance based, and shoujo ai, which is
shoujo ai. Okay,
which is women loving women type thing.
All right.
Now, it used to be, and I'm gonna say this because I'm old in like the manga game. Used to be there was a difference between shoujo ai and yuri. Shoujo ai was girl love, teen love, women like loving women. Yuri is gay porn. Essentially, there was
Yuri gay porn
it's
right
basically
now.
Like no, they conflate the two now.
And to me, that's a problem because Yuri itself is erotic, basically. It's erotica of like women loving women. Just like Shoujo Ai is not action anymore, it's boy love. And then you have Yaoi, which is erotica of boy love. But now the two categories are really conflated now. So like they're considered the same thing.
Nana.
Can you explain to me one more time what isekai is?
It's just anything that involves being transported to another world. So like oh god. It's been a while since I read isekai now. Oh shit.
Don't judge me for my notes.
I mean, would Digimon kind of count?
Digimon counts as isekai. Because it's like all I can think of is old examples, nothing really new.
I'm not current by any stretch of the
Is Monsters a series?
Currently, yes, but yet I believe you can buy it in one volume. I want to say, I don't know. I'd have to ask Ashley when she comes back, and I think now it's available in a single volume.
Is mangas usually like long books?
Yeah, they usually.
pages?
Well, no, that's not 600. It depends on it depends if you read them in one sitting. There's different volumes. Each volume is about like maybe 50 to 100 pages, depending on who wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like one section at a time, taking you through things. Sometimes they're episodic, sometimes they're bridged, sometimes it's like one giant story, and you get each piece of the story as you go. Or you can buy them as full deluxe volumes, which includes like 5 at a time or some shit.
Yeah, I would just say that I feel like manga tends to run longer.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be like a lot of volumes. Like there'll be some popular series that are over 20 volumes. So like that might be a thing to keep in mind when you're like picking out a series you want to read.
Mind you, Monster is a limited series. It ends. It ends fairly quickly. I just don't remember how many volumes it is because it's been years since I read it. But like,
is there another thriller situation you got for me? Y'all, it's hotter than fish grease in this living room, I must say.
I mean, if you want something that's thriller, but you want something with like a sort of fantasy look, you should definitely read Death Note. That shit would like.
Oh, I did. Wait, I feel like I read Death Note, or did I watch it?
You might have watched it, but manga is better. I will always say the manga is better. No, I love the show. The show is badass, but that manga.
What is it with his little? Was it the chip?
Like, yes, take a chip and eat it while I'm killing folks.
Right there dramatically.
But like, I think that Death Note would be a good one for you because it has that little like a lot of manga, which is what I love, is that it kind of borderlines on what we would call magical realism because you have a world that is normal, perfectly fine, like so normal stuff happens in it, but there's always one magical element. Like for Death Note, there's this notebook where if you write the name in it, these people die because it belongs to the gods of death. But it's a normal world, and this dude uses it basically to get himself to a status of being like a god or like the boogeyman essentially, and he uses it only to. And it's like it's in a regular it's like regular life stuff. He uses it to get himself to the point where he's like, oh yes, psychopath. I think you would like psychopaths. I mean, psychopaths. That is really good.
You talking about me?
Yes.
No. Yeah, people are giving you recommendations.
Yeah.
Oh, look at these people.
No one's insulting you.
No. Psychopaths is really God. Well, like the thing is like your level of like give a fuck about the existentialism in it though. Like I love the concept, but after like there are some times where it gets a little wordy on like the not the metaphors, the like psychological aspect. But other than that, it's really freaking good. Should definitely be Psychopath. I derailed from like the original point of like people talking about manga without actually knowing, like actually looking up the different categories of it. I don't fault them for not knowing. My thing is like trying to tell other people about it without knowing anything about it yourself. That thing bothers.
I feel like the big takeaway is that basically our categories of like age and genre and stuff don't really cross over immediately to manga. So like there's really no point in trying to be like YA manga or middle grade manga. It's like gonna be really clunky.
Which also it should be said that a lot of our categories do not transfer over to foreign literature either, because I got to learn that like the stuff that I was reading, like certain like Chinese novels that I was reading, actually have separate categories, and like they have like fantasy novels, but they're not broken up by saying this is fantasy. They're broken up by what has martial arts stuff in it, but they're still very human characters, and what has like magic and like uh tree stuff in it, like stuff like humans doing fantastic things in it. And like they separated by that. They don't just say this is a fantasy, that's a fantasy thing like that. They separated by like this particular thing, even though it has fantastical elements, includes regular human people doing like awesome actiony stuff. And then you have this one that's like regular human people, but they're doing magic and stuff like that. They separate by that. So like it's weird finding out, and then you have like Japanese people
Oh,
doing
hey,
this stuff
baby
like,
girl.
oh, like you have light novels in Japan, which are basically teen focus, but a lot of them would not be considered YA.
I just realized that this month, you know, for the Black Aweenathon and Fright Nights,
Mhm.
Fortnite Frights, I did choose a manga to read for Fortnite Frights,
Which one?
but I didn't realize it was a manga until right now. But it's no use of talking about it because it's in French.
Oh,
So,
Which
you
one?
know, it's called Les Vous Maudites.
What? What's
So,
this familiar?
am I gonna know everything? It ain't looking that well, but my friend already agreed to be on the call while I read it, so I can be like, help. But yeah, it's all in French, and I wanted to read it, so that should be coming in the mail soon. So that'll be my first one.
Love. What is?
that's interesting.
I've never heard of it, but I'm also
See, it's
like,
bothering me now.
What'd you say?
Can you spell it out for me? Because it's bothering me now.
Oh, hold on. Let me put it in the chat.
Yeah.
I put it in the private chat.
Let me see.
People want me to put it in the public chat. Let me know.
someone wanted it in the public.
Okay, let me
Speaking
slide
of
over to the
wanted it.
DM. Let me get there. It's hotter than fish grease in his house. I'm freezing. I mean, I'm hot. I'm hot.
What's your brain, Bree?
It's hotter than fish grease. I got a swoop situation. I got a little stomach roll, back roll, sweaty. This ain't right. My body is doing what it wants. Did you get it?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it. I'll just copy it over.
Hold on, I got it.
Because I don't know how to like give people access to the general tracks. I know that had been an issue in the past.
I typed it in.
Like I'm not seeing it pop up. I see it in the private one, but not in the.
Well, yeah, I put it in the private and the comments. Oh, hey, baby girl. What's up, sleepyhead?
Okay, now I see it.
You better get on mom's bosom. That's where you're comfortable.
You're on mute.
You know we can't hear you.
My bad, y'all. I said I'm about to pull out because she don't feel good.
Oh.
Yeah. So I will catch y'all later.
Okay. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Wait, so are we still doing
Oh, we are. I already planned to still do my soul to keep. So
That's all keep, yeah. Yes, we are still doing that. So
we don't
But
know.
yeah, I wasn't going to be present for this one because I got a lot of stuff coming up for this month and the beginning of next month. So I was gonna skip this one. I'm sorry.
How could you?
I'm a horrible person. Yes.
You are. I want you to
Okay. But the rest of us are doing this one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So we just have to decide when and on whose channel.
On whose channel? Okay.
Yeah. I guess it's between me and Bree this time.
Yeah, it's between you and Bree.
Dang, she gonna be better.
I mean, because I did the first one. Chloe's doing this one. Harley's skipping the book. So.
Yeah, I can feel that.
It's okay. We can work it out, Bree.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
I say we
lazy.
go by alphabetical order.
Oh, you ain't shit.
That was
All right,
rude.
good night,
Bye,
Ashley.
Good
Ashley.
night, y'all.
Right, Ashley.
And
I mean,
like,
I am giving that book away as a giveaway. If anybody wants My Soul to Keep, I'm doing
Okay.
a giveaway on my on my Instagram. So all you got to do is subscribe to my channel, like the post, write your favorite Halloween movie, and then you enter into the raffle.
So I was going to ask you, Bree, about doing a giveaway for Black Aweenathon, but we'll talk about that.
Oh, an additional one.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll talk. We'll DM somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know how to
Do
DM.
that.
I don't know how to DM.
I do, but I'm just saying it like I don't know how to DM. I said we'll DM somehow.
Yep. It's bacon time. We don't know.
I don't know. Is it bacon time?
It's probably going to be from
It's
November.
bacon time said, when's the live for My Soul to Keep? And I said, no say.
Wouldn't it make sense to have it in November since we ended up having this one in October? Give everybody a chance to like get their stuff together.
I think that would be fine by me. But...
I mean, I'm not going to be there, but I figured it would be a good suggestion.
Like, I'm fine.
I already put you in the. I already added you to the list of people who've already entered. I told you I was gonna do a slick side thing for you, Britt. Don't out yourself in the comments.
But,
yeah, I'm okay with November. I guess.
Oh God.
I guess we should have probably found that out from Ashley.
What?
Before she left, yeah.
Yeah. November.
Okay, we can talk about it in the group chat at some point. So it won't hurt. But
I remember when I don't know. I'm lying. We can put it in the group chat. I say the first or second week because after that,
Or
I
Thanksgiving.
don't know. I might be in New Orleans. I might be in Houston. That's a lot.
Are you traveling for work? Oh.
You running from the hurricane?
Huh?
You running from that hurricane?
No, I'm my nephew is having a baby.
Oh. Yay.
I'm a great aunt, y'all. Hey.
Congrats.
That's what I'm talking about.
My little peanut. I already got her a Halloween onesie. She don't even know yet. Her favorite holiday is Halloween. I've chosen for her. If she doesn't abide by the rules, I gotta disown her.
Oh,
simple.
That's really what it is. I'm just kidding.
All right.
I am going to check
You are
out
welcome.
as
you
well.
have time. It's bacon time. You got time. As Ukrainians say, Timayesh chasu. You have time.
I like that. I'm going to have to check out, but like the reason I'm not participating because I'm going to be working on all of that audio and stuff and getting the interview set up, and I won't have the time to read. That's the only thing that's holding me back. So because that stuff is going to be going up probably either by the 19th or so you're going to be getting Alicia Dow's interview on there, which is what I'm editing right now. And they say that editing audio doesn't take a long time. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And it's 2 hours worth. I've been kind of taking it in small chunks, and I'm just kind of like.
Yeah, I struggle with editing. I'll be like, because this month I have 24 videos going out.
Wow.
Damn, Bree.
And I'm tired.
I'm tired just hearing you talk about it.
I pretty much almost passed away. What?
Yeah.
In hindsight,
what, every day?
No, okay. I'll just give you a brief thing. So in last year, I started my BookTube channel in October, or was it? I think it was September, October. I can't remember. And I was like, man,
I'm not even known enough or have enough to do Halloween stuff. So I'll think about it. So I was thinking about it and had a Google Doc. Listen, me and a Google Doc and a spreadsheet will get shit done. So I just over the over the months I was adding to it, and I was like, you know what? We're gonna do a readathon in October, and then it turned into how about you do some original book tags, but make it 5 days. So then I did 5 video recording of these tags in like June and edited them in like July and like did all that stuff in July. Then I was like, you know what? I think I also need 10 days of Black Halloween, the last 10 days of October. So I have 10 videos coming out every day. And this is a secret because I wasn't supposed to say this, but I'm saying it now. But so each day has a different theme around Blackness, but around Halloween. So, and then I have one video that's like 50 minutes, and it's me shouting out all these upcoming Black artists that you should know. So it just took a very long time to do. So this is like a year of making 15, no, 20, I think that's 24 videos for October.
Well, you are a much better person than I will ever.
Ray, you have to tell us if you're an alien, otherwise this is entrapment.
No.
I'm just saying. Are you?
No,
I mean, you can come clean now.
No. And I think the funniest thing about the book tags, because tomorrow will be day 3 of the videos. I did all those book tag videos in the same night.
Wow.
I did.
I can't even bring
I
myself.
can't even get myself to film on a good day. This she talking about like whole 5 videos on a day.
It was supposed to be a secret. Now it's out there, Ashley. The shame. But oh well. Now y'all know. Hopefully nobody's like, let me go look back on here. But the baby just wanted to get in bed. Oh, hey baby. But yeah.
That's dedication right there. Wow.
That is dedication.
I see you guys.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. In some regret, I do regret it. It's a lot of work.
You're probably tired, but
I am, because I decided to give my Patreons early access to these videos, and it's hard to schedule videos and also give early access at the same time. So I have to like give early access, then go back in and redo all the settings so that it goes to YouTube. It's
so next year, instead of you filming all of it, why don't you, like if you do the tags again, have different people?
Yeah, I have another Google sheet and a spreadsheet for next year because I'm type A like that. And I already have ideas for that. Yeah. Like it's gonna be like so many booktubers involved. I can't do it by myself. I'm not doing it again. Nope.
Great. Everything that you're telling me is giving me anxiety.
Weird over there. The more you look at videos, the more I see you crawling up and holding your.
And I'm just like, because I'm imagining the amount of work that takes, and I'm just like,
that's why I be like, these people need to support my goddamn Patreon. You know, I'm literally out here, but I gotta slow down though. After October, you might get a 3-minute video for me on Vlogmas. Nah, I don't know.
Before I go, what is?
You know, I hate Christmas.
Really? Things I didn't know.
I mean,
Chloe's
it's Christmas. But before I go, what is Vlogmas?
I thought that was blogging for like what, the first 25 days of December, like once putting out a vlog once every day.
Yeah,
right?
It's supposed to be like one blog or vlog post a day.
Do they have to be long or just
no? Do whatever you want.
I can do that. And what I read today was garbage. I ate Cheetos and that was it. That's 5 seconds.
Oh, so stuff like that, like just a vlog. Okay, I thought they had like a theme or some shit you had to do.
I mean, you can make it a theme.
I don't want to because I'm bad at that.
I don't want
I
to.
can't even do readathons. We've established this.
I can't even do. I mean, I'm done a vlog. I can only do, for some bizarre reason, I can only do like a vlog while I'm driving. Sitting in my house and trying
That's
to like,
interesting.
it's weird. I don't know. I feel more comfortable talking to the space in my car.
Oh, see, that, I understand that because your hands are doing something and everything, and you're not like solely focused on staring at the camera in front of you. Because I can only do like I don't know if y'all have seen those little Instagram stories I can do, but I can only do those when I'm like about to do something or if I'm already doing something, and they come easy. It's just like talking to the camera for like 2 seconds and then going back to what I was doing. And so I was like, oh, that Vlogmas stuff actually sounds pretty.
Oh my god, I don't know why this is stressing me out. Vlogmas every day, 25 days.
That's why you're not gonna do it.
Yeah, you shouldn't do it if it's stressing you.
Yeah. We're not even close to December. I mean, we are close to December. That's a lie. But
well, not close like that anymore.
Yeah, you don't want to do it.
I do want to try to do more vlogs, but I did like this really cool vlog of like everything I was reading for the month of September, and then got like the anxiety took over and I deleted the whole like thing. I like did a small video every day and I was like and deleted it.
I was thinking about after my class is over, doing vlogging for Black Aweenathon. But I was like, you know what?
Whatever you want to do for Black Aweenathon, live your lives. People have been unbelievably creative. I'm so shocked.
I've liked seeing all the TBRs. Yours and Deidre's were really cute with the people were getting festive with the witch hats and the cauldrons.
Yeah, one girl had a purple wig.
Jennifer,
Oh, I was supposed to have been left, so I'm gonna.
Sorry. Good night,
guys. Yeah, it's not those like the babe's ready to lay down and I'm ready to chill. So
good night. Thanks for coming.
Good night. Yeah, wait.
Good night, Harli.
Quick question: How do I end the thing?
Leave studio.
Oh, okay. See, I'm old. You can tell I'm old.
See,
it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
Go. Well, good night, guys.
Good night.
Jennifer, I don't know if I want to do reels every day, but technically I do have 24 TikToks in my draft. Because I just be doing so many of them when I'm in the mood, and I don't post them every day like I should, but theoretically I could, but I'm tired.
I swear, I wish I could like let my hair down enough to do that.
To do what?
Like TikToks.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, Erica. I like the short funny video aspect of it. There's also like this world of TikToks of people who are 30 plus, like just giving you some real good DIY stuff. So that's the stuff I like. But I don't be on it long enough. I literally go on it and find audio that's popular and that's funny, and then I make it bookish, and then I dash out, and then I do it again, and I dash out. So I don't be on it that much because I'm trying not to become addicted. Like I already have an issue with Instagram.
Yeah. I feel like that's the issue with trying to like expand to other platforms. Is that like I'm just on here for my channel, and then you're on there for like 3 hours for nothing to do with anything.
That's not the life I'm trying to lead. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, I'm sorry. Y'all go ahead. Because I started looking at something. I have an email. And I don't know why they are emailing me because I'm not talking to them.
Ooh.
They know this.
Wow. Well, I guess you said what you said to them.
And I was like, okay, so it started off on my birthday, right?
Story time. Chloe, buckle up.
Buckle up and hold on tight. So it was a guy I dated for a long time, like long time. And we just grew apart as what happens in relationships. And so we have known each other for over 20 years. Like, his son is 26, if that says anything. Anyway, so my
you could have
birthday,
been the stepmama.
I could have been, yes, but he has some issues that need to be resolved before. Anyways, so my birthday this year came and went, and then a week came and went, and then a month came and went. My birthday is in June. And so I sent him an email, and not an email, a text. And I was like, I'm kind of upset with you. And he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, excuse me? What's going on? And then he's like, did I miss your birthday? And I was like, what do you think? And so like, he's like, oh, well, I'll get you next year. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, well, my birthday is coming up. And I was like, okay, well, I'll get you next year.
I mean, what that got to do with the stars landing on Mars?
Don't know. But yep, I am not.
That meat is greasy because you don't blocked him.
Yep. I told him. I was like, I got my petty pants on, and they are pulled all the way up.
Wow. Don't get a yeast infection.
Try not to. What? I got my petty pants on. Sorry.
I mean, he does deserve it. Like,
yeah,
I'll catch you next year.
Yeah.
He
was trying to be funny.
Being real rude.
Throw the whole man away. I remember I had an ex-boyfriend call me and he goes, isn't your birthday this month? I said, oh, your hair is so pretty. Now I see it in the light now. Go ahead, roommate. Go ahead. Oh, you got your brows done? I didn't see that too. Okay. Better live your best life. I say live that life. Oh, sorry.
But you were talking about a boyfriend.
Oh, I was saying he was like, hey, isn't this month your birthday? I said, who raised you? And I hung up.
Oh,
because it was April. My birthday's in May. Blasphemy.
This is what I have Facebook for. And Google Calendar.
Wow. Chloe, you got ex-lovers you like that?
Huh?
I said, Chloe, you got ex-lovers stalking you like that?
No. I don't have those type of problems.
I hate to say it, Chloe, but that didn't sound very convincing.
You did it.
He's like,
well, I don't.
No.
Show me your ways. Show me your ways.
I'm not going to admit that on a live.
Like, date who? Nobody. Me, myself, and I. That's all I got in the end. That's what I found out.
It's crazy. I have not been in a relationship. I know, when you're not in a relationship and you are finding yourself, so to speak, it is euphoric not having to be tethered to somebody else. And oh.
Yeah, I feel like dating is just odd these days because I was trying to swipe right, out here swiper, no swiping out here in these streets, and the response that these white boys are giving me, I had to delete the app. It's just very inappropriate. So I'm like, no.
I don't know if I could like date online.
I tried it, but
Yeah.
you know, I live in middle of nowhere and it's just like a sea of whiteness and it's just like I hunt and I fish, that's my hobby. And I'm like,
Oh.
what? So what?
You live in Minnesota, right?
Yeah. So it's a lot of like, I'm gonna hunt and fish. I'm gonna show this picture of this fish I'm holding and this duck with the cricket neck and the deer that's got shot in the forehead. And I'm like, how is it cute where they're taking photos like this? It's like, how do you take a photo? Did you think this was sexy? Did you think this right here was sexy? Did you think this was gonna bring the girls to the yard?
He's a provider. You'll be so set during the apocalypse. I bet he knows how to salt and prepare and gut all that stuff
If
too.
I see one
Come get you
more
some.
hunting, listen, if another Don, Joseph, Danny, or Andrew with the damn camouflage shows up in my DM, I'm gonna put him through the heartbeat. You understand me? Like what?
Oh my gosh.
And then they'd be like, "Oh my god, I need this chocolate." What? Who raised?
Oh gosh.
Oh my god, it's just
Because
disgusting.
that's what happens. And when I lived in Colorado and I was
Same when I lived in Colorado. Same.
oh my god.
You're like, I just want to go on this 15-mile hike where these knees is at least 35 each. Each kneecap is 35 each. We don't know the math really, but that gotta be like 70 years of pain and suffering. And you want me to go up, down, round, around, around the corner?
Yes, ma'am.
You got me messed up.
And oh my gosh. Who is this? It's
it's bacon time.
It's bacon time. I'm sorry. And they said, oh no, the food comparisons. Okay. I don't know. Coming from the DC area and having seasoning, going out to Colorado.
You did not say it's just salt and pepper.
It is basically
Yes. No Tony Saturates.
It is horrible. And somebody said it was in one of the silent readings, Chloe, where librarian in Colorado, she was like, yeah, I kind of when I go out to a restaurant, I go with a bag of seasoning.
Right, yeah, I remember that.
I remember that.
I was just like, that's what you got to do. It is horrible. I'm like, you go to a restaurant and it's like, where are your seasonings, man?
Yeah.
Kosher.
I just feel like I need to move back to the hood and find me like a dude from the hood and live my life because this hunting fish situation, the body tan, the shaved chest, like we are here shaving our chests. Like
landscaping or
like it goes with the hunting and fishing. I'm very confused.
It doesn't.
The shaved chest doesn't seem to go with the camo hunting and fishing, pictures with guns and dead animals.
They will go fishing in the summer and be like, with the goddamn fish and just put the finger in the mouth. And I don't know how me seeing a dead animal is going to be like, you know what? I'm going to give him the wop.
Because
like, how does that coordinate? Can somebody?
The whole male mentality. See what I got?
No, it's toxic. I don't want it.
So
Dude, not a roughneck.
Yes, a roughneck.
You
Oh
know,
my
I'm
God.
talking about a corned beef eating, collard greens, cornbread, bacon fat eating mug. You hear me?
Yes, I'm down for
I
that too.
don't know what's going on in Minnesota.
Well, what's the percentage of white?
To where I live,
Yeah.
probably like 90.
I
That's
was gonna guess 90. I was
yeah,
actually gonna guess
that's what's
98.
going on in Minnesota.
Not the whole Minnesota.
Just
Like
where you are.
if you went to Minneapolis or St. Paul, you're gonna find yourself with all types of different people,
Okay.
different backgrounds. Just where I'm at, it's a lot of cow and dairy farmers in there, and they kinfolk and apostolic Christians.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bree.
Hey, the things I do.
The things you do.
Things I
That's
do.
why when I moved back here, I was like, oh, my people.
I always have to be careful for that because when I go back to New Orleans, I find myself staring and people be like, "What the f- you looking at?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just had something in my eyes." Because I'm just so amazed with so many black people everywhere. And I'll be like, "No, stop staring at these people. For they beat you up on the side of the road and they gonna have no knees. They gonna beat you up. They gonna take your ankles. Don't do that.
They're not gonna take your ankles.
They could.
Okay.
They could.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen some stuff happen.
And I came back. I was so excited. I was sad, but I was also very excited because I was like, I need a variety of people.
You need stuff to feed your soul.
Mm-hmm.
All right, y'all. Y'all ready to
Yeah.
call this a?
I think I'm ready. Yep.
Y'all ready to call this one? I'm ready.
Yep.
I'm ready.
All right. One.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a good
Thank you. Have a good one, and we'll let you know when it's time for my soul to keep and whose channel it's going to be on. Bria and I are going to draw straws.
It's gonna be on mine. Let me just take that bullet.
You don't have to.
I mean, I'm trying to do a detailed review and stuff on it anyway for Black Awenathon, so it's not even a big deal.
Hey, if you don't want to, let me know.
I will. I'm gonna slide in your DM like tag. You're it.
Okay, I'll take it.
All right.
All right.
Well,
But I'll let you. I'm gonna slide in your DMs anyway about Black Awenathon.
okay. Good night, Josh. I love all your tags for my tags. You're doing really well. They're so great.
Josh is a fighter for you, Bree. It's in your corner.
Josh is amazing.
He really is.
You
And
know,
Josh and I are doing 2 buddy reads, or well, yeah, 2, but we're reading Frankenstein, both Frankensteins, not both Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and Frankenstein in Baghdad.
I'm ready for you to be like, Bree, you know what? I'm going to gift you with my second copy of Frankenstein. And then I'm feeling, oh my God, you're welcome. That's what I'm waiting for Erica to do. So I'm going to just throw that at your way.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein?
You said you had 2 copies of Frankenstein on your channel. Yes, you did.
Yes, I did.
So I'm saying,
Oh, you're talking about Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I just want to make sure.
I didn't even know there was differences.
Yes.
I'm just trying to figure it out.
Okay, really quick. Good night, everyone. I'm going to end the podcast.
All
Or
right.
podcast, I guess, and that's all. Bye.
All right. Good night.